Hey guys, what is going on? You are checking out a special edition of Wrestling with the Topics. If I'm not mistaken, this is the very first time we are giving you guys a bonus. It's a simultaneous cast that we're doing for you all. So we're doing the web version, which you're seeing for the very first time, the two of us, as I know normally you guys are used to listening to just the audio of both of us. But for those of you that have been a longtime fan of the RCWR show and you already know about the Wrestling with the Topics, it just made a lot of sense that we did do a Wrestling with the Topics covering Awesomecon and some other little tidbits. And you know the beautiful lady right beside me by now. She is the one and only, the beautiful, the lovely Tammy.
Hi guys.
Yes, so it's awesome. So don't be confused, guys, okay? That's why we purposely left the RCWR show logo, and we got to give Tammy a lot of props for that, because she said, hey, everybody's used to the RCWR show. Some people are probably going to be thrown off a bit. Why not leave the RCWR show there? But at least that way they know it is RCWR, but it's a different direction that you're kind of going in, but they still know it's you. So sorry for any little bit of confusion you all might be experiencing, but you're going to forget about that in a couple of seconds, all right? So, hey, before we dive into the talk of Awesomecon, because, I mean, look, can we be honest? It's been a little bit of a slow wrestling news week, right? And the little bit of stuff that is out there, it makes more sense to just talk about those maybe individually, or maybe do a 20-minute piece exclusive for YouTube or something like that later on during the week, right? So it's a little bit slow wrestling news wise. But before we dive into the talk of Awesomecon, all things Awesomecon, as that's what we're going to be reviewing here, I do, on a serious note, want to offer my thoughts, condolences, prayers to the colleagues, family members, close friends of director John Signleton. He brought us some classic movies from back in the day, whether it was one of my all-time favorites, Boyz in the Hood, from 1991, 1993's Poetic Justice, Higher Learning, Rosewood, The Shaft from 2000. As many of you all know, there's a sequel that's getting ready to drop this year. Finally, it took them 19 years, and Samuel Jackson is resurrecting the role once again. Looks like now he has a son, and the son is kind of following in his footsteps as well, at least to the degree of trying to locate his dad. That's the impression that I was kind of under, but it looks like it's going to be pretty strong. Of course, everybody's all-time favorite movie, Bad Boy from 2001, that pretty much had really put Tyrese Gibson on the map. I mean, besides the whole "Sweet Lady, Would You Be Mine," right? Aside from that,
I think it's Baby Boy. Isn't it?
Baby Boy. I always get the name of that movie.
Bad Boy.
I always get the name of that movie mixed up.
Boy,
Baby Boy, yeah.
Yeah, that was.
I like my name better, but you understood why it was called Baby Boy.
Absolutely.
You really did understood.
Absolutely.
But you know, it's crazy. Four Brothers. Can't also forget about Four Brothers. And of course, our asses would be lit on fire if we did not also mention Snowfall. That is a hit series on FX. And I sadly, I did not get a chance to sit down and watch any of Snowfall. Every time I turned around, I was doing something else. And it was like, back burner. I'll check it out. It looks good. I'll come back to it. And I've yet to get around to it. And it's sad to say, but it seems like now I'm finally going to be getting around to checking it out. I just wish it was under different circumstances, you know?
Sure.
So what were some of your favorites from John Signleton?
Well, Poetic Justice was definitely one. I liked Boyz in the Hood. I'm much more familiar with his earlier stuff than I am his later stuff.
Right.
But, you know, from the stuff that he's done, he's certainly made a huge name for himself. And it's a huge loss to Hollywood.
And let's be for real. Let's keep it on the real tip. It's not only a huge loss for Hollywood, but it is a significant, huge loss for our black community. Definitely, because here was a young man just coming through the ranks, and I mean him, Spike Lee, Robert Townsend, Bill Cosby, as far as directors / writers go. When you go back to the 90s, those were the guys that had the steady hand at that point. Spike Lee was really leading the way.
Yes.
He really, really was.
He was.
But you could almost say to a degree that John Signleton was of the same cloth as Spike Lee, right? And he was very particular about the projects that he would put out there, because when you go back and you just look at everything that he's done as a director, it's just a handful of stuff, but it's so significant, you know, very significant,
that it leaves an impression upon you from the films that he does in such a significant way that it's not 5-6 years, we're talking 15 and 20.
Right.
You know, and if it's in the black community, or even not in the black community, you know about Boyz n the Hood or Poetic Justice. I mean, they're iconic films.
They're iconic, but you know why race is brought into it is because here you're already given the stigma as a black actor in Hollywood that, oh, well, you can only be but this particular type of character because your people are of low intellect. You guys can't read. You guys can't write, blah, blah, blah. Here comes along a man such as Sidney Poitier that basically shatters all of those barriers and sets it up so that a Denzel Washington, so that Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor could come in there and continue the next evolution of cinema, but in particular black cinema, right? And then when you go into the early 90s and you see what John Signleton did, see John Signleton, Spike Lee to a degree, but this is where John Signleton has the edge, in my eyes, has always had the edge over Spike Lee. John Signleton had no problem putting out there in front of the cameras at face value, this is what's happening in our black communities.
That's very true.
As far as black directors go, he was really the first that really has showed you, hey, this is what's going on here, right? And Boyz n the Hood is just,
It's definitely depicting and portraying exactly at that time, at that time that it was portrayed of what was actually going on in society at that moment.
And Boyz n the Hood is a scary reminder. That's the thing about certain movies. There's certain movies, and in the case of Boyz n the Hood, directed by Singleton, it is not only a timeless classic movie, but it is one of those type of movies that here we are, even though it was made in 1991, here we are in 2019, and a lot of what is happening in that movie resonates so well in today's society, given Black Lives Matter, given Blue Lives Matter, all of that, just with regards to race relations as a whole in our society that's going on today, especially when you involve politics and everybody is so divided and all that, and if it ain't politics, it's race. Exactly. Everything you can just, everybody's like, wow, what the hell? And John Signleton had his finger on the pulse as far back as 1991. 1991, and also beautifully, brilliantly showcasing the rough side of California, if you will, with the whole Crips and Bloods and all that. And I can relate to that very, very well. That was, of all the movies, that's the one that I connected to first. And it was mainly because of my living experience out there in California. And I've told the story before, and I'll give you just a short end version, but I remember when me and my mom had moved to California, in 1990. We were there until, I want to say, almost fall of 92. So we were there for the riots, right? We were there. We experienced all of that. And within the first 2 weeks of being in California, I had lost both of my uncles. I had lost my first uncle to a crime that he did not commit. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was at a 7-Eleven. He was trying to buy some stuff. His girlfriend was sitting in the car waiting for him. And he went in there. There were two guys that were already in there. They had been staking out the store, and they decided, okay, all right, now's the time we're going to rob it. And the cashier had a gun. There was a bit of a scuffle, and eventually the two would-be bank robbers, they rolled out. My uncle tried to roll out, but the cashier thought he was in on it as well.
Oh, wow.
And the cashier ended up letting loose a dog, because he had a dog that was in the back of the store. So he let the door out, opened the door rather. The dog came out, bit the hell out of my uncle's leg. That gave the cashier enough time to secure his gun properly, hold it on my uncle till the cops came. And even though my uncle had said what he said, you go back to 1991, you think about how camera surveillance was right around that time. Either you had something, or if you didn't.
And if you did, it was so grainy that you probably couldn't make it out.
Exactly. And if you didn't have anything, and you're in California and you're black, well, sadly, sorry about your goddamn luck. And so he ended up doing a couple of years in jail for a crime he did not commit. And my other uncle, I lost him, honestly, a drug deal gone wrong. He was into the drugs, heavily into the drugs. I could remember seeing him, and just seemed like he was getting skinnier and skinnier. And you know, I'll never forget one of the last times I had saw him. He came into the house. Me and my Aunt Patty, we were watching primetime TV. I can't even tell you what was on the TV at the time, but he had came in and he said, "Hey guys, what's up?" I'm like, "Nothing much." And I remember there were headlights. It was shining so bright on the curtains in the living room, and we had one of those type of plastic rods, and the blinds / shades that could open up that way, right? You know, they were going down vertical, and you could just those kind of shades. And I could just remember walking up to the window and just kind of peeking a little bit, and headlights were just booming in my freaking face. And I remember my uncle had said, "Hey, get away from the window, get away from the window." I was like, "Wow." He was like, "Just get away from the window." I was like, "Okay." And he was saying to us, "Hey, where's the vacuum? I gotta use the vacuum." Oh, Aunt Patty's like, "Oh, the vacuum is in the closet, blah 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 blah." He's like, "Okay, great." And we're like, "Where you going with that?" And he's like, "Oh, my friend had made a spill and they don't have a vacuum, so I'm just going to take this and help him out real quick." We're like, "Okay, all right. I'll see y'all in a little bit. You know, don't wait up. I'll be back." I'm like, "Okay." And that was the last time we saw him. 2 weeks had passed, and we aren't sure what the hell was going on. We weren't worried, though, because... you know, the norm that we heard from my aunt and from my grandmother was that, yeah, he comes and goes. Sometimes he's here. Other times when he is here, he's sleeping. So don't disturb him. But usually he's not really here. He's just, you know how boys are. And it's kind of like, oh, okay. But 2 weeks pass, and we had a detective come knock on our door and basically show us his death pictures as he's in the hospital bed, tube in his mouth. And I mean, it just looked, his face was so swollen and all that. And they were able to establish that what ended up happening with him was he was shot and killed at close range. The first number of shots had came to him while he was sitting inside of the vehicle, so almost as as you are sitting close to me, maybe in the back seat of a car, somebody just pulled out their gun and they just started lighting him up, and he managed to get out, and he ran a couple of houses down trying to go and get help, and they continued to light him up. And he hung on just long enough to go to the hospital, and sadly, his last words was, "Mama, I want my mama," and you know that was it for him. The detectives, through what they were able to investigate, they were able to figure out that apparently, you know, the vacuum, you know, so it's kind of like process of elimination. You know, he owed them drug money. He didn't have it. He tried to pawn off the vacuum to them. That wasn't good enough.
Oh, wow.
You know, and just like in Boyz in the Hood, when my mom found out what happened to her brother, she got in contact with some of his friends that found out about his death. And much like what happened in Boyz in the Hood with Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character, and he wanted retribution for what happened to someone he felt was a brother from another mother, but you know it was
Still
more
brother.
like his best friend, but he still looked at him as his brother. My mom did the same thing. Like in Boyz in the Hood, they were driving around and you know they were looking, they were gathering up all the information, and they were looking to take care of it themselves. But luckily, she got herself in the right frame of mind and decided, okay, I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to have anything to do, you know, send me back home. You know, y'all get them, you get them, but I don't want to be a part of this, you know. So Boyz in the Hood, it always resonated to me on so many levels, you know, all of his movies, but Boyz in the Hood for me really. And I'm sure there's many other blacks, whether you're in Southeast DC or you're in California or you're in the rough parts of Detroit or Chicago. I'm sure somebody has their own Boyz in the Hood story of their own, you know.
Sure.
And for those of you that are maybe hearing this for the first time with regards to John Signleton passing, apparently he has suffered a stroke about 2 weeks ago. So at the time that we're recording this right now, during the week of April 30th, apparently 2 weeks ago, he had suffered from a stroke and he slipped into a coma. And he's been in a coma ever since. And it was real sad because there was conflicting information that was out there.
Yes.
You had reports that were put out there earlier in the day on Monday that, he's dead. And it turns out that actually was not the case at all. He was just taken off life support, I guess, to try to see if... But I would like to believe that if you're taking somebody off life support and they've pretty much been in a coma for 2 weeks, I would like to believe that if you're taking somebody off life support, you damn sure ain't taking them off life support just to see if they can manage on their own. I would like to believe that at this point, 2 weeks later, and the person's been in a coma, like, can you maybe, because she's in medical, so she can kind of color.
So basically, for him, with the stroke, it was basically, the story was he had died, and then, well, no, he didn't die. He was basically in a coma. And sorry, not in a coma. They were basically getting ready to take him off of life support, and when they did, the family just didn't want to accept that that was the end. So the statement actually was not released yet. So essentially, when they stated that he had passed, he had already passed.
Meaning he had passed when he initially had the stroke and went into the coma? Or
he had passed when they took him off life support.
Okay, so now the question is, okay, so we know he had the the stroke. Let's heart attack, stroke. I want to make sure I say exactly what they said. They said stroke. Okay, stroke and heart attack, big difference. Heart attack, you usually can't come back from that.
No, you can.
Usually, what about a stroke?
You can.
I've always was given, maybe it's a false narrative. Maybe it's a false narrative, but I've always been under the impression that of the two, the heart attack is the worst.
Both can be really bad depending on how early you catch it. And that's number one. And how severe it is, number two. Okay,
so he suffered this stroke 2 weeks ago and was in a coma.
According to press, and then we heard a Sunday while we were at Awesomecon that basically the daughter or something was saying that the mom was saying, no, he's not in a coma, those were false reports. And then we hear it, a couple hours later, no, he is actually in a coma. And he's doing, we're still monitoring, essentially. Mm-hmm. So then, you hear a little bit later, and then you're hearing, wait a minute, he died. Then at that point you think, oh, okay, well, it must be some false reports. And for a while, there were reports that it was a fake news. Mm-hmm. So now we get this report saying, no, it actually wasn't fake news. It was the family just didn't want to release the statement yet because they had just taken him off life support.
What I would ultimately like to see from all of this, and it's definitely official, he is deceased, because I got my official information from Donnie Simpson. And for those of you that don't know who Donnie Simpson is a legendary black radio personality. You go back to the vintage days of BET, Video Soul. He has a nationally syndicated radio show. He has, he's almost like the Duke Ellington of the R&B industry, right? Everybody at some point has had some type of interactions, right? Just like how you got that pyramid game of Kevin Bacon. You could connect everybody to Donnie Simpson. So when I was on Twitter, Donnie was the first person I saw that's, said, hey, rest in peace, my brother, blah, 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 because he's had dealings with him many times over the years. I don't know if they were friends, but I know for a fact he's brought his name up many times. I certainly remember
him bringing his name up more than a few times.
Yeah, and I definitely remember him being on Donnie Simpson's show out here a couple of times over the years. So, to hear that, there's one thing that's kind of rattling me a little bit, and I hope that in the coming weeks we could get some type of an official joint statement. But hearing these reports that the mother and the daughter, they are going back and forth, apparently they don't meet eye to eye, and they are having this nasty battle over his estate and royalties and all of this other stuff. Like you're hearing that and you're going, whoa, already? Like something, I hope that this is maybe just a case where some type of a certain news media outlet is trying to spin something to sell clicks, right?
I really hope so.
To sell, it's all about the clickbaits, right?
Right.
So I hope that's really the case, because I don't like hearing that. For those of you that are maybe wondering, hey, is he survived by anyone? A wife, a girlfriend, anybody? With regards to his personal life, he had 5 children with former wife Tasha Lewis. He had a daughter named Justice Maya Singleton, son. His son actually appeared in Tears of the Sun in 2003, but it looks like Singleton and the wife, actually he was married twice from my notes here. His second wife, looks like they had divorced in 1997 is what I'm looking at here. Yeah, unless that's the first wife, because they're throwing me off with the name of the wife, which is Tasha Lewis. And then according to the notes here, they're saying that he and Buzia divorced in 1997. So that kind of leads me to the impression that maybe he had met somebody twice and things just didn't work out for whatever respected reason. He was involved in an accident too back in 2007. It was an automobile accident, as he was struck by a jaywalking pedestrian. Or correction, he was involved in a automobile accident in which John Signleton, had struck a jaywalking pedestrian. I actually remember that as well. He was cool about it. He stayed at the scene of the crime. He was not under the influence of alcohol, substances, nothing of that nature. Sadly, that individual that was jaywalking had died later in the hospital. The case was ultimately turned over to the district attorney, who decided, nah, you know what, this was just a freak accident. I'm not going to be pressing any charges against Mr. Singleton. There was also, of course, we got to mention this, in 2017, there was a sexual harassment allegation. He was accused of sexual harassment by a journalist who interviewed him. Of course, that's a case where he said, they said, and right in the middle, as I always say, there is that thing known as the absolute truth. Sadly, we never really will know. But for all the contributions that he's made in cinema, the profound impact in lives that he's touched on many black families, as I know a lot of people are now tripping over the Tyler Perrys and all that, but this was a guy that was really opening up a lot of eyes, minds, a lot of hearts. So he definitely will be missed, but such a great body of work that he's left behind. Also, definitely want to give thoughts and prayers to those that were affected by the Poway synagogue shootings that had came about. I'm not going to give the individual that was ultimately captured, I'm not going to give him any press by mentioning his name, but obviously when you learn a little bit more about this young man, deeply disturbed, mentally disturbed, his parents, they had released a statement basically saying, and I quote, "We are shocked and deeply saddened by the terrible attack on the Chabad of Poway Synagogue." The family said in a statement released through an attorney, "But our sadness pales in comparison to the grief and anguish our son has caused for so many innocent people. He has killed and injured the faithful who were gathered in a sacred place on a sacred day. To our great shame, he is now part of the history of evil that has been perpetrated on Jewish people for centuries." So, you know, I gotta commend them, because here's a case right here where, you know, our son is just misunderstood. You all just don't know. You know, he's been having problems, he's been having his demons, and they've pretty much just, this is not who we raised.
Right.
This is not our core values. This individual does not represent us whatsoever and what we're about. So just to think, yeah, here was this kid, bright future ahead of him. I mean, it seemed like, from what you understand about the parents and everything, it seemed like he had the perfect life. He was a very gifted piano player. Seemed like at the rate that he was going, he was probably going to be on tour, or maybe having some type of scholarship as an understudy under one of the great maestros, and maybe eventually we'd see him at the Kennedy Center or Wolf Trap or things of that nature, go to Europe and all that. Seemed like the future was very bright for this young man, and for him to commit the type of acts that he had committed, you know, once again, and see, this is the thing that I hate when stuff like this goes down, Tams, is that it's the political season, and we're going to have people that are going to somehow use this to their advantage and make these claims about, oh, let me tell you, you elect me, I'm going to make sure that, let's be honest, the NRA is going to continue to have you by the balls. They're going to continue to fight every single step of the way. So let's not make promises that truly cannot be fulfilled when it comes to the NRA. Okay?
I agree with that.
I am all fine for individuals that want to protect themselves, want to protect their family. They want to have the right to bear arms. You want to have the right to bear arms and get a permit, carry a concealed weapon on you while you're out in public, but you got your permit on you at all times. I'm down with that. You want to carry a particular weapon so that you can XYZ animals when you go hunting. I'm okay with that. Where I draw the line is when you are using those weapons, be it a dirty, hairy gun, or, you know, or you're using a semi-automatic, when you're using it on innocents. That's where I draw the line, and I say, wait a minute. We can come up with all the laws that we want to try to, there's always going to be some type of loophole. Just go back to the prohibition period. When people were talking, okay, no more drinking. Hey,
No, they found a way.
they found a way.
Well, see, the thing is I agree with everything that you just said. But what there is to be a spotlight on, and what really is the elephant in the room that nobody's addressing, is these people who are able to get guns, and with that ability is using it for harm, because either they have a mental illness, or they've just chosen the wrong path because of some social media stupidness, or a combination of both. And really it's just about, obviously it's self-accountability,
right.
But really it's about, okay, what is happening with this person that he feels the need to go into a place of sacred worship, or with anything for that matter, a place where innocent people are, to open fire and take out innocent lives. We've gotten to that point where it's almost desensitizing.
What's really disturbing to me about this young kid, and just to see how these parents just distance themselves from their son, and on the one hand, as I described it a couple of minutes ago, but then on the other hand, you hear how this young man, this boy, was part of white supremacist groups, right? So you hear that, and you can't help but say, well, wait a minute. If you're doing all of these things, just what exactly are your parents doing? Because when I hear stuff like that, I hear parents that aren't really that involved in their child's life. Now, you could say to me, oh, well, this child kind of was living a double life. Well, let me tell you something. For the longest time, I grew up with one parent. There was a period where I had two. And let me tell you something. Every time I was getting ready to do something, my parents, what are you doing? Where? Who? What? When? Where? How? Why? And if it wasn't of satisfactory status to them, nope. Why not? Because
I said so.
Oh, well, you got that. I got because. And that was the end of it.
No, I got because I said so, and that was... I knew that for me, that was the end of that.
No, for my black ass, when I got because, it was leave it alone. And if I probed, I was going to get my ass beat. So it was, when I heard because, what? And I had to go in the other direction, So I can't really help but wonder, just, were you guys really involved in your kid's life? Right. Because just, look, I ain't no Dr. Phil, I ain't no psychic or psychiatrist or some shit like that, okay? But I'm curious if in the coming weeks, classmates, a girl that maybe tried to date him at one point, I'm very curious what these individuals will have to say about him. Was it a case where he didn't like his parents because they were always micromanaging him? They weren't letting him breathe. They weren't letting him be a kid and enjoy life, right? Was
it peer pressure?
Right.
Was it school stuff? Was there things going on that he just didn't say anything about, but all of a sudden your son starts acting strange,
right,
and you don't catch it, right, or you think it's boys will be boys or what have you? I mean, in this day and age with so much information and so much out there for them to get into,
right,
you have to be, as a parent, you have to be so much harder on your kids. I mean, without being a complete ogre, right, essentially. Right. But being caring and loving and, sometimes even that's not enough. I'm not saying, all of these people have bad parents. And, I mean, grant you, yes, sometimes it is the kids.
Yes.
But in catching it and saying something to the appropriate people to where that can be... what you call basically that can be expunged before it even happens,
right?
To where he gets help or what have you. So innocent people don't have to suffer for shortcomings either by the person who's doing it, or people who just thought nothing of it.
I agree 100%. Very good, strong words. So yes, definitely thoughts and prayers to those that were affected by those terrible shootings.
I have to say one thing really quickly.
Go ahead.
To the woman who basically got in front of this idiot to save a lot more lives, thank you.
Yeah, now that's where I'm a little... I know there was a woman that tried to protect her husband from the bullets.
Wasn't her husband. It was the rabbi.
That's what it was? Mm-hmm. But I have it right. It was but in particular, the wife was trying to...
The wife was protecting the rabbi and some of the other people around her. Uh-huh. But the husband, it was a physician. Mm-hmm. And with the husband trying to attend to other people, he didn't realize that his wife was the one who was actually shot. And then he tried to help her. Yeah. But at that point, he basically passed out and
that was a lot. Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's
a lot. I mean, that's a lot. But anyway, just from my own thing.
Let me ask. I mean, while we're talking about this, and I mean, this is what Wrestling with the Topics is all about, folks. We just randomly go into the topics, right? This isn't scripted, right? We don't even have an idea what we're going to talk about. She doesn't know what I'm going to say, what I'm going to bring up, vice versa, right? Mm-hmm. But while we're on this, right, and I don't mean to go long-winded, but since we're kind of going there, this does bring up a very interesting question that I want to ask you, and we don't need to be long-winded about it, but we can pretty much get the ball rolling.
Yep.
And this will be a good discussion for everybody in our community, which is yes or no when it comes to individuals like this kid. Is jail really the answer, or is it psychiatric help? Is it put you into I don't want to say a nut house, but a mental facility, get you to treatment and all that? Is that really, or is it a case where no, you took a life from the minute that it's determined that what you did was predetermined, you spent weeks, blah this, blah that?
Right. I think a little bit of both, to be honest with you. For me, I think it's jail first. Obviously, because you took a life. But in the interim, if at that point where you're in jail and you've got this help that you need, because obviously there's something that's not right up here.
Right.
And you can become somewhat reformed on the proper medications, on the regimen that you need to be on, to help you function and become a normal, regular human being, that can be controlled as far as with, whether it's bipolar or schizophrenia or, some of those major mental issues. Then at that point, maybe. But a lot of people would say an eye for an eye, and if you take a life, then that's just it.
I'm curious what you all have to say, what you think with regards to that. Let us know. Get the dialogue going. Very, very curious, right? So let's liven up the mood a little bit. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely on that note. Sorry, we didn't mean to come on here, but that's just how this show works. Awesomecon 2019. So first of all, before we go any further, we're still talking Awesomecon. I want to give a big, mad shout out to the kind staff at Awesomecon. I want to thank them from the bottom of our hearts, because this was our third consecutive year where we were invited back to cover this event as part of the press media, and it's always an honor to cover this. A lot of fun. Let's do it again. Already looking forward to the next year. That's all I have to say. Let's do it again. So where do we want to begin? Okay, so our day began I guess Thursday night. We can take it back to Thursday night. So Thursday night, actually no, let's really rewind this back. Okay, I already had told the story on last week's RCWR show, but kind of given a summarized version. Okay, so we have this nice hotel, and we book it like the beginning of January or something like that, right? And I go, hey, this would be great. I say, hey, this would be great, right? As it gets closer, preferably like about a week and a half before we get ready to do this, the missus says to me, hey, we all set to go? I say, yeah. How much was that again? And I tell her, hey, that's a bit excessive. I go, you think so? Like, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? And it's kind of like, So she doesn't say, see if there's something else, but I kind of say to myself, let me see if something else is out there. Maybe there's something else cheaper. So I love booking.com. Yeah. I love those guys. One of the main things I love about the booking.com site is that you can book your room and you do not have to put a credit card down. You can pretty much just pay when you stay. Now, if you need to cancel, they give you a really good grace period before, okay, well, we got to charge you something because we've pretty much been holding your room almost all the way up until when you're canceling. Normally it's a case where like you got until 4 days before you arrive to cancel and not be penalized, right? So I'm looking and I'm going, yeah, this is a bit expensive. So I'm looking, I'm going, okay, show me what I can get around here. Come on now. I get the same freaking hotel at a different price, a much lower price. We're talking by about $150. And I told her about it, and I felt like the kid from Circuit City. Excuse me, sir. Yesterday I bought this, and today I bought this. I just looked in the paper, and there it was. And the guy just goes in the register, gives him the change. That's it? That's it. Cool. You know, it literally felt like that. So I was like, wait a minute here. But then that's not where it ends. Then it's a matter of, okay, well, what's going to happen with the parking? So now parking is the issue, right? And anybody that has been in the DC metropolitan area, y'all know when it comes to parking can be a bitch, right? So
most city parking is,
okay? So why don't you jump in? Because I was at work at the time you got the deal that you had got. Why don't you tell them how the hotel, and we won't mention their name, right? Because we don't want them feeling all bad and then reaching out to us on social media and all that. But won't you pick it up where about the parking? Because I didn't find out if it was daily at the hotel. And you go ahead.
So we had essentially, inquired about that information. And because that particular spot was really close to the convention center, so it was thinking, okay, let's see what we can do. So called them. The funny thing is, Lee had actually called them a couple days before that, and they stated him one price. I had called back, and they basically stated me a different price, which was quite a bit higher than what they had stated to him. So I said, I am definitely not paying that kind of money for parking. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to see what I can find. Look at, basically looking at what we've got around, what's close, what's within walking distance. So I looked, and actually, mind you, let's go back a little bit. I said, so do you guys offer overnight parking? So basically they said, well, at this point, you're probably not going to find overnight parking in most of your garages. I was like, what? Okay, well, you know what? Let me find out. Let me just call around, see what I can find out. And if I can get that. So I did, and I called one of the garages that was pretty close to the convention center. And I said, do you guys offer overnight parking? She's like, sure. I was like, wow, okay. So what's the rates? And so she said, well, it's, half the price, essentially, from what we were being offered before. I said, wow. I said, okay. So I just basically then, on Messenger and say, hey, this is what I found. Isn't that interesting? Going back to the commercial part of what he was saying. Today, I bought this, and
Yesterday I bought this. And today I saw this. So essentially same deal.
Right. So, we
should put them over. If anything, we should send business their way. Go ahead, plug them. And let me see some of that water too while you're plugging them.
Basically, it's the City Center Garage.
870 L Street?
No.
Or is it
970?
970?
870 9th Street.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So it's the City Center Parking Garage.
That's the only thing you need to remember. If anything, remember the name.
Yep, pretty much. And they have 3 garages that are pretty much... Okay, 4 garages that are pretty much side by side. So just make sure that you are in the right entrance. And the additional parking is kind of, on the 4th level. So you do have to go down a bit.
Right.
But they were super nice, super helpful. Just couldn't have had a better experience. You kind of wonder whether your car's still going to be there when you get back. And it was.
Right.
But essentially, no issues, and ended up being less than I was quoted even over the phone. So
let's give them the price differential. Okay, with the hotel that was trying to have us do business with them, grand total for just basically 2 nights, because we were only out there for Friday, Saturday. We were checking out on Sunday. Okay, so just for that, this hotel chain in particular, they wanted about over $150 when it was all said and done for parking.
130 to 150.
Okay. Now match that up to city parking,
city center parking.
city center parking for that same length of days. A whopping grand total of $54. $54,
exactly.
Folks. So keep that for those of you that
are in the area.
Yeah.
In the area, and then, looking for parking, and the rates were really reasonable. Very, very easy to get to. Very easy to walk around, and find where you were. They have accessible elevators to go, down into the parking garage. So you basically...
And it's so convenient too, because where they are, you could pretty much park, and there's like so many nice shops up around there too. Yeah.
If any of you guys, there is a couple of outlets out in Maryland. It reminds you a lot of that.
Yes.
But yeah, just so, and it makes it better for landmarks, for people who kind of remember landmarks better than street names.
Yeah. And if you guys end up using it, please tell them, say, hey, I discovered you guys because I was listening to a show, the RCWR show with Lee Sanders, and, him and his woman, they really put you guys over. I'm sure they would greatly appreciate that. I'm sure they would. The more business they can get, the better, right? Yeah. And I don't think that would hurt anybody that eventually is thinking about doing business with them. I mean, there is so much parking options that they have over there. It's not even funny. Not even funny. I mean, it looked kind of, where are we gonna park when we were on the first level, and then we see the attendant and we say, hey, it doesn't really look like we're finding any parking up here, because they got these, and I think that's cool how the garages now have these computerized spots that tell you, okay, there's one available, keep that coming too. Here. I think that's cool, but where we were, it didn't really look like there was any spots, and the attendant just said, oh, no problem, go down to the 4th level. Like, what? Yeah, just go down to the 4th level.
Basically, for that, it was, each level was for different things.
Right.
And that's what it was.
And it's safe to say that the way they have it set up, okay, first level's done, okay, all right, go to 2. 2's done, okay, go to 3. 3's done, okay, go to 4. 4's done, well, that's it, we're at max capacity, right? So it's kind of like get in while you can. So that pretty much was the prelude going into Awesomecon. So now we get to the day of. The weather was gorgeous.
It was.
The sun was out. This was as we were on our way out there. Some of you might have seen what I had posted by, I guess, Twitter. I went live on Twitter for like 10 minutes, and I was showing you guys how it was on the road and everything. So we get out there. We must have checked in probably about 1:45 is when we had checked in. Customer service was on point. The way they got the hotel set up is pretty badass too, because you can't just hop in the elevator okay, security's not here. I can pretty much just go roam any old hallway and I can do some freaky deaky shit. I can run up to people naked. No. That ain't happening. Pretty much you get in that elevator, and unless you got a key card, you ain't going no damn where. Right? So I think that was pretty cool how they had the elevator set up.
And even coming down.
Yes.
Unless you were going to the lobby.
Yes, you weren't going on any
it.
other floors. Nope, you got that right.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool how they had that set up. So after we had got our room, the room was very nice, by the way. I usually like to take pictures of the room and everything, but this go around, I didn't do that. This go around, the view sucked. I gotta tell you,
But it was very quiet.
But it was very quiet. I slept like a baby the whole time. I would definitely admit that. That bed was extra nice, soft. I loved it. I thoroughly loved it. This was something that I had purposely put money to the side for over the course of many weeks until it was finally paid off. And the timing of it was, I find kind of interesting, because at the time that all of this was going on, we had to recently chop down a tree of ours out front in the house because, long story short, it was crossing over to our neighbor's fence. And so by the time we get this news about, we got to now cut this tree down, well, I had already, because I told the business, I said, this is my pet project. When it comes to the room, this is all on me. This is coming out of my pocket. I'm working towards this. If anything, you just worry about maybe food and drinks, but the room, I got it, right? So luckily, by the time we find out this news about, okay, we now got to cut a tree down. Let me tell you something, by the way, cutting a tree, it ain't cheap, folks. Let me tell you that right now. But luckily, by the time we found that news out about the tree, that room for Awesomecon was already squashed. But my God, the room was nice. It was very quiet. It was my first time experiencing a smart TV with 4K. I was in fucking heaven. I mean, it felt like somebody diluted my eyes and then told me to close them for about 30 seconds, and then I opened them and it's even sharper, it's even more defined, everything that I'm seeing, and it's like, whoa. And I mean, excuse me, just the simplest thing, like one thing that jumped in mind, Avengers Endgame. We saw a trailer for it, and we saw Avengers Endgame in the theater, right? And by the way, we did review that. There's two completely different versions, totally different, unique listening experiences. There's a spoiler-free version that's floating around on YouTube and on the downloads. There's a spoiler version that's exclusive to Patreon members only. You can learn more at patreon.com/RCWR show. But when we see the commercial for Avengers Endgame, our mouths dropped because it was like, damn, this isn't what we saw in the theater.
That's for sure.
I mean, my God. I mean, and I think we paid for the IMAX experience.
No,
we didn't. That was an IMAX? IMAX is glasses or something?
Yes.
Or not? No, IMAXs are glasses, I thought.
Yeah, IMAX is glasses.
IMAX is always glasses?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, I just know I felt gypped. I saw that commercial. I said, whoa. I mean, I could see every single little strand on Rocket the Raccoon's face. It was ridiculous. It was like he was a living, breathing, like he was actually...
Even Cap looked so much more clear.
Yeah. I didn't realize how old Robert Downey Jr. looked as Tony Stark, because
yeah,
I didn't realize how much time, because he really looked the part. I'm like, wow, that's pretty badass. He's 56, by the way. 54. 54 going on 55, because the other day I said, he's near 60, and it's kind of like, he's still kind of a little ways off, but I think most people had got the point I was making. They got the point I was making. So yeah, that was awesome. So we ended up, after we got our press passes, we ended up coming on back to the hotel, and we actually ate lunch. And
at a place called The Delegate.
Yeah, that place was phenomenal. Let me tell you, great customer service. What did you have again?
remember the name.
Garlic cheeseburger.
Well, basically, there was a name for the burger.
The Delicate.
Oh yeah, I think it was actually
I think
the
it
Delicate.
was called
yes.
the Delicate. I think it was called the Delicate burger.
Essentially, it was a bacon cheeseburger with garlic mayo. And it was really actually very decent. Very good, very clean. Fries were amazing. Like they just pretty much cut them and fried them.
Yeah.
You know, no extra stuff.
Grease.
You know, and it was very, 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 very good. You know, service was decent. You know, nice little side chatter. You know, except for the other side chatter that Lee had heard more of than I did.
Yeah. I had a side of fries and I had a turkey BLT.
Basically a turkey club, I think.
It was a turkey club. Had nice, I mean, they fried that bacon. They made sure they fried that bacon.
Yes.
Some places you go, oh, hey, turkey club. And then when you're biting into it and, oh, there's bacon. All right. And you bite into the bacon. The bacon's not cooked all the way. I hate that. I've never been a fan of, you know, I don't even want to eat semi-raw bacon. When I eat bacon in my sandwiches, when I eat bacon in general, I like my bacon fried. So fry it. Don't be scared. So it was nice to bite into a sandwich that had crispy, hard bacon. Not hard like, you know, but just, oh, that's good, you know, and it was bursting with flavor and everything. And I had tried a couple of new IPAs. One of the IPAs I had tried, I actually got it on my phone here. One of the IPAs I tried
was Ghost.
Goose?
I thought he said Ghost.
Was it Ghost or Goose? You keep talking. I can find it real quick.
It was in a silver can. I swore he said Ghost. But it's possible he said Goose.
It's Ghost.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It was Ghost IPA, Indian Pale Ale, 3 stars. That was phenomenal. I had got a buzz. Probably halfway. Minutes. Yeah, it didn't take that long. That was pretty good. See, it's rare that I drink. And when I do, it really hits me. And then afterwards, I tried telling him about this one IPA I had out in Philadelphia. It's called Fathead Indian Ale, I think is it. And so he goes, oh, we carry that here. It's like, really? I thought that was more of a PA thing. And so I'm kind of going, oh, okay. So he comes back and he gives me a Fat Tire beer. And nothing against Colorado, because I know some people in Colorado. But that was just regular beer, and it tasted like piss water to me. I was not impressed by that. If anything, that actually fucked up my buzz. I must tell you, it fucked up my buzz. It was like I was drinking salt water, basically. Ugh. Okay, so yeah, I didn't exactly enjoy that, but later on got redeemed, as later on we ended up having Goose Island IPA,
which actually was the day after.
That was the day after. Yeah, we'll go to that story later on. It is Awesomecon related. We'll go to that later on. Yeah, I heard a little bit of side chatter as we were waiting on our food. Tams didn't hear anything, but I did.
I heard yelling. I didn't really.
You didn't exactly hear what they were saying,
right?
Yeah. Okay. So we're waiting. We're talking. We're just enjoying ourselves. We're waiting on the food, and at one point, like, I got to give props to this waiter of ours. He was doing his part. He was making us feel good. He was interacting with us. Nice, good camaraderie. Just going back and forth. Pleasant exchange. Okay. He was doing good, but he goes to the back at some point. And the cook is yelling at him, and from what I was able to gather in a nutshell, she basically was upset at him that he was pussyfooting around, that he wasn't two-stepping it and taking care of these orders and getting all the food out there. She felt he was slacking. He was being a lazy ass. And at one point, I do remember her saying to him, I'm back here, I'm making all of this food, and you're just lollygagging, you're just pussyfooting around. Come on, do it. Let's go. And he raises his voice even higher at her, and I just couldn't help.
Mind you, guys, these people are in the back.
You are
like in the kitchen.
In the kitchen back.
And we are way out in the thing, and you could hear
Yes.
the whole conversation.
You could hear the whole conversation. Keep in mind, it's only 3 in the afternoon, and there wasn't hardly anybody in there. As a matter of fact, it was because they broke it up in 2 sections. So
Lord,
basically,
that would have been terrible. If it was.
Oh yeah. So they basically broke it up in like 3 sections. So you have the bar, and then you have the first sitting common area where we were, and then there's another area that's the last common area, and then the cooks are somewhere back that way, but when they come out of the doors, they're in that third part of the common area that's attached to us.
Right.
So yeah, we were hearing that, and I was ready to just say, "Hun, let's go ahead, let's get out of here," because yeah, this stuff seemed cool. But the food came, I was happy, and I'm going, all right, this is good. But yeah, that was kind of, and a little interesting tidbit, and shout out to Avengers, by the way. I got to see the new estimate, but at the time that we're doing this, I didn't check yesterday. I didn't check the numbers for today, but last I had heard, they pulled in $1.62 billion opening weekend. And that really reaffirms what the young brother, our waiter, was telling us, which was, he told us the story about how in the entire District of Columbia, you could not find any tickets for Avengers Endgame. Not
for
one ticket.
That day. For Friday.
Yeah. Well, he said that whole weekend. He said for the whole weekend.
He did say whole weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
He could not. Everybody was sold out, and
that's right.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. I felt bad hearing that, because it was like, wow, that sucks. Because he thought maybe he could see the last showing at like 11 o'clock or something like that. Cause
after work.
Yeah, because he heard that it was going to be a 3+ hour flick, but he didn't mind. He said, okay, look, I'm getting out at 11. There's a place I can go and see it. I'll see it, no problem. But yeah, everybody was sold out, so I can only imagine how long that's gonna keep happening. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if most people were telling me all this week, Lee, all this week, man, no tickets available, and if tickets are available, it's on eBay and people are selling them at 2-3 times the price. I would not be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think the way with my feed, it doesn't seem that way. It seems like people are, able to kind of go when they're wanting to go. But I still think there's probably a good lag, to where, okay, maybe you have to wait a day.
We'll see. I'm very curious how many people, like to you, our listeners, and everybody else that is a comic book fan, if you've been having a real difficult time seeing Avengers Endgame, like tickets are sold out, let us know what's been going on. Is it a case where it was just sold out one particular day, a couple of days, or is it sold out all week for you? Let us know what's going on, because we're very curious. But I would not be surprised hearing that they brought in 1.62 billion. Like, I would not be surprised if for like maybe just this whole week, tickets were extremely hard to come across, to not available.
Well, even with us, at that Thursday night, with that Thursday night, we pretty much had gotten tickets, and at that point, those tickets were in the front row.
Yes, the front row.
To where
the first row.
Yeah, so pretty much you go, and thank goodness for the new seats that they have in there, because they can recline a bit, so it's somewhat comfortable. It's not like you're breaking your neck, just to try to see. But the place that we saw it was packed, very packed. Every seat was full for that night that we saw it. So basically, I'm sure it only continued and or got worse. Now, I remember when I was in line, there was one particular guy that stated he had gotten his tickets 3 months ago. So,
Sorry about that sound effect. Sorry about that. Allergies are kind of kicking my butt. He got his 3 months ago, right? Yeah, that was about right, because that's when tickets were rolled out. And I remember going, I'm good. And I mean, yeah, we were still good, but like, we weren't that good. I mean, we just barely made it in, right? So, and I'm glad we saw it when we did it.
He actually was like, "Oh, I'm tired. I don't know if I want to go tonight." I'm like, "You want to review it, don't you?" You know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, okay." So we went, and while we were at Awesomecon, I said, "I'm glad you did, right? Especially after our Raiders
Let me tell you
stated."
something. Let me tell you something. I'm glad we saw it because Awesomecon weekend, there was no chance in hell that you were going to be able to do what you needed to do at Awesomecon without hearing somebody mention Endgame.
True.
I mean, people were putting, probably the only thing I did not hear during the whole Awesomecon weekend was,
I hope you guys have already seen it.
oh shit. You can send all the negativity and the hate mail to Lee at the RCWR show. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just use the keywords the RCWR show. Send your hate mail my way. I'm so sorry. You walked me right in. See, we were doing so good. Russo brothers, I am so sorry. You know, I mean, I guess the little bit of comfort I can take at this point is, well, how can you not know? Because
by now, but true.
You know, but even if you know, it's kind of like, ooh, you know, the way that it's approached. That's the thing. The way that it's approached is what, holy shit, you know. But I am sorry in advance, sincerely. We usually do a good job in not spoiling because we do a movie review show and we usually do not. That's something that I just oops. That's a major oops. But
moving right along.
Yeah.
So, you know, after we got our press passes, walked around a little bit, you know, and just kind of had a feel for what was going on. It was really light.
Yeah,
so we knew
day one. Be specific. Yeah.
Yes, day one, which was Friday. We knew that everybody was seeing Avengers.
Right.
Because even for day one, it was light.
Yes, because remember, we've been there the past 3 years now. And the first Friday of that weekend for our first respective year that we covered
it was like the Saturday for this year.
Yeah. It felt that day one Friday, it felt like Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And then when we went into Easter weekend last year, it was light, but not as
light as this year.
Yeah, you're right.
No.
This year was
really light.
It was almost ghost town on day one. We're not exaggerating.
Like pretty much the Avengers, pretty much the vendors, and a few people.
Yeah, and what we mean by vendors, like everybody was set up. But I mean, put it to you this way.
Yeah.
If you wanted to like come inside on day one and be like, oh yeah, real quick, I want to go hit up some vendors, I want to get some merch, I want to get this, I want to get that, I want to eat some food, you could be in and out. It was pretty much like approach the table, get what you need to get, roll out. It was like that.
Go get the food.
Right.
Sit down. Or roll out.
If you worked in downtown and maybe you had a 30-minute or an hour break, I guarantee you, hop in your car, come to the convention center. Okay, let me park. Okay, let me go inside. I'm telling you, in, out. It was just like that.
Even where they do admissions was nowhere near as busy as the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It was maybe a third.
Yeah.
As what it usually is. So, you know, we were able to really, you know, get in, see what we could see, and, you know, just kind of, okay, all right, so let's go to see what's next.
Yeah, it was that slow. It was that slow. And I know originally Tammy wanted to go participate in the Cobra Kai Q&A. But by the time we had ate lunch and everything, it was kind of late. She would have had to rush and all that. So she did the next best thing, which was take part in a photo op and autograph signing as well. Why don't you tell them about that? Because that was your whole setup.
Sure. So basically, I got over there, went in line for the photo op. Obviously, if you already know what the setup is for Awesomecon or something like that.
And let me jump in real quick. While you're telling that story, remember to make sure you highlight how the lines and all that was, because you told me on Saturday, you were like, this is nothing compared to day 2.
Oh, yes.
Because I know that's something that a lot of you guys care about that have been coming to these events. Some of you guys have not been liking how they were organized. Last year, we gave great praise to how they had set it up last year. But yeah, go ahead.
And they continued to some of those.
It continues to evolve better. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did. So basically got in line. I thought, well, the line is actually pretty light at the moment. So let's just go ahead and I had to go get some information for Lee. So when I went ahead and did that, walked over to the other table, which was basically for photos, because I was actually entertaining doing another photo op with Milo, which for some of you may or may not know, This Is Us, who's Jack, and or Rocky Balboa's son, and the current Creed 2 or Rocky Balboa. I was considering getting a photo op with him. At that point, just had thought about it, and so I found out the information I needed to find out and was able to hop right back in line. Honestly, if I were to say for Friday, there might have been 3 handfuls of people, and that was Friday. So with that,
how were the lines? How was
light
compared to day 2?
Light.
There was something else you had mentioned that was, I don't know if it was the layout, because you told me on day 2, you said they changed it. This isn't how it was on Friday.
The only thing that they really changed is bumping up the guy who was announcing, as far as to give him more volume.
Maybe, okay. I remember at one point I had said on Saturday, I said, oh, that's new, because it looked as though the way that they had everybody go to the respected lines to, okay, group 1, go to the orange flag. Like this year, like going into Saturday, it seemed as though there was a guy making the announcements and there was only one way you could like enter, and you had to basically go past him and then go into the respected lanes. Whereas last year, really,
that's been always the way it's been.
It seems like last year it was just a person at the side, and the opening was not as wide, and you could just basically like a fucking marathon. This one it seemed like it was more. Okay, 2 people can maybe go through at the same time, but that's it. Whereas last year, 4 to 6 people could just run through.
Maybe it was a little bit more closed. But what the only thing as far as difference was basically you had, before you got called up for Sting for like Saturday, there was a lot of people, first of all, for Riverdale. And that was a majority of what the lines were. So going on to Saturday, you had that, and everybody was pretty much scrunched in the middle to basically go in for their Riverdale photo ops. So that partly was the difference, but pretty much other than that, same setup. So going back to Friday, as far as the photo ops, it was very light. So they started, announcing for group photos and things of that nature for Cobra Kai. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't do a group photo. I did just a specific photo with Karate Kid.
Now, I was kicking back in the hotel at this point, and I was resting up. And when we went the first go round at a glance just to get our passes and all that, we hardly saw any people in costume. So I'm curious, how was it?
not much.
Wow. Okay.
It really was a couple of handfuls. There was a couple people I was like, oh wow, okay, nice showing out kind of thing. But so going in the line, you've got one person who actually was very creative. Did the whole shower thing, which is, I don't know, for some of you who do and don't know that first Karate Kid franchise, but that was pretty much a Halloween costume in that movie. And I thought, how inventive. That's awesome. So took a picture of her just because it was like, that's creative. Then I had, a couple that was behind me. Pretty much they were in their Cobra Kai, outfits. And then, of course, they had the little baby. She might have been 2. And she was in the little white, outfit that Ralph Macchio would wear and had the little headband, and she was way more interested in mommy's phone than she was in taking a picture. So, which was kind of cute in itself. But as far as flow, it was ridiculously light. And I was even told by one of the staff members, if you want to get in, you want to get out, you don't want a whole lot of lines, you come on Friday. So did the picture once because they actually did a boo-boo and called some of the other singled.
A boo-boo, huh?
Yeah, a
hey there, boo-boo. What do we got in the little picnic basket, boo-boo?
So, basically, mistake.
Oh, Yogi.
And then at that point, they weren't finished with the group photos. So a few of us actually had to wait, to the side because the actual QR codes, which you get with every signing photo op, they are scanning those. And that actually seems to be different than what I remember last year.
Same thing.
Okay. So
you walk up to them.
Yep.
You got the barcode, and they usually have a device, and they're able to scan.
And if you are early, which I found out, it will not let you through.
Right.
So that's essentially why you had to wait.
And that's what we learned for the first time this year. That was the new learning curve.
Yes, that's the new learning curve. So got the photo, got to meet him. That was amazing. And then I thought, well, wonder if he's doing signings. And I really just, was kind of an overview of it. So I went over to the table because I had already purchased the autograph portion. And went over to the table. I said, we just kind of wonder what kind of photos they have for signatures. And next thing I know, here he comes. I was like, oh, well, great. I don't have to come back. And, was able to converse with him a little bit more. And,
How was his line at that point? Was it like only you?
No, it was probably, I don't know, maybe about 10 to 15 people.
Definitely nowhere near 30.
No.
Dude was right for the staff. Dude was right.
Yeah.
Friday was the day.
Yeah. So versus some other people having a couple.
Right.
At best.
Yeah. That's a good transition, by the way. But keep going.
Yeah.
That's a damn good transition. Remember that, folks.
Yeah. So, but basically, was able to actually make eye contact with Johnny, which is actually his arch rival in Karate Kid. And that was cool. This was actually a funny story. So he smiles at me. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll smile back. It seems, like a nice dude. Of course, this is, 30-some years later. And I said, I hated you when you were in Karate Kid 1, but now I like you pretty well. And he kind of went, oh, okay. And kind of that awkward, I don't know what to say to that. And I at that point was like, oh, shit. I really fucked up now and stuck my foot right in my mouth. So I was like, oh, that Cobra Kai. Thank you so much for bringing it back. It's awesome. Haven't watched one show. So, obviously.
Send all your hate mail to Lee Sanders at the RCWR show.
But we'll be watching it very soon.
Yeah.
Very soon.
Yeah. The plan is this week.
Yeah. Very soon. I'm very interested in what I've seen in the trailers, so on and so forth. And he was like, well, thank you so much, you know. And it was actually a genuine compliment, because from what I've seen, it looks amazing. And they're getting ready to start season 2. So
it's already happened.
They've
already dropped it. Yeah.
If you guys, you know, were a fan or are a fan of the Karate Kid and that those movies, that trilogy and franchise, please check it out.
Even the hardcore Karate Kid fans, they say to me, Jose was one of them too. He was like, well, actually, no, I'm gonna exclude Jose, and shout out to him because he's probably gonna check out some of the Awesomecon content. But most people I've heard from online, the one Karate Kid that seems to be unanimous that nobody liked was the Jackie Chan, Jaden Smith one.
It was okay. I mean, if you liked them as characters, then you'll tolerate it. But I'm sorry, to me, if Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith was maybe 20 years past when it actually came out, might have been okay, because at that point, most of the people who would remember it probably don't remember it as much, or it's kind of way by the wayside kind of thing, because the character actors, you know, would be well in their, you know, 60s, 70s at that point. So it's a whole new generation. But to bring it out to when you got people who are in their 30s and 40s, maybe even 50s, who know what the original was, and the kick-ass, you know, writing and everything that they did with it.
You know, under different circumstances, just a little sidebar, under different circumstances in my perfect world, if you were to reboot it, I wish he was still alive, but Bruce Lee could have been Mr. Miyagi. And the black kid that was on Bernie Mac, I think he would have...
His son?
That played his son on the TV show. Yeah, I think he would have been a good... in place of Ralph Macchio. I think he would have been okay. Now, you don't put them and give them the same names as the iconic ones.
No.
Let them be completely different people, but it could be the same outline.
Sure. Absolutely. Or, and, you know, you could have even made Bruce Lee.
Jet Li. Or Jet Li.
Or Jet Li. Yeah, he could definitely, right now, he could definitely do a Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
You know, his son, Mr. Miyagi's son. You know,
oh, wow. Yeah.
You know, but it's a little harder to do that because his son actually died in the first movie, but, you know, way before Mr. Miyagi even met Daniel. But you could still find a workaround and make it your own, to where if you do it in the perfect timing and the perfect character actors to play those parts, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
It really, that one felt like a watered down version of the first one. Truly.
So you do the photo op, you take the autograph.
So do the photo op, do the autograph, and I'm on, you know, cloud 9. Now, guys, mind you, my back was already hurting. But between the photo session and the autograph session, for that whole 45 minutes, I ain't feeling nothing.
That's called motivation.
That's called motivation, which was kind of cool, you know, to go with that. But anyway, you know, and then after that, I was kind of walking on cloud 9, and pretty much just, you know, closed out the night, walked around a little bit. Matter of fact, I was feeling in such a generous mood, I went and bought a couple of things from Artist Alley, which, you know,
that's the heartbeat. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
That's part of, you know, one of the main reasons that Awesomecon is there.
Yes.
You know, and met a nice elderly couple, and they were in their 60s, and they said, yes, we are working this weekend, but guess what? We already have tickets for Monday for in-game.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Nice.
So
nice.
Obviously, it spans all genders, ages.
Yes.
Creed, color, all of that.
I like that.
You know, and the man that was doing the drawings that I bought was amazing. You know, just the detail was amazing. However he did it was just on point and just absolutely would come back for others.
A lot of the artwork and collectibles that we had purchased over the weekend, you can actually see it on the Discord, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages. Just use the keywords the RCWR show, and I'm going to make a album. At the time that you all are checking this out, that album will already be available via Facebook, but there will be an Awesomecon 2019 album, and y'all will be able to see everything once again grouped together, whereas everything is spaced out. But yeah, so night one,
and then
that was the time.
And that's absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Remember that, folks.
And at this time, it was between probably 6:30. Between 5 and 7.
Okay.
Which obviously around 8 o'clock they're getting ready to close. But it was smooth sailing. You could have any questions you want answered, you know, and just really go through everything quickly. So I got a couple things and you know, even stopped by the marble table and got you know, a poster of Endgame, because obviously, you know, you're never going to have that set of character actors in the same window of a movie as you do now.
Yeah,
so,
you forget.
So it was nice to kind of, they were giving away tickets, and that would have been amazing, but we'd already seen it, so.
They were literally just handing them out?
No,
it was
a raffle.
Oh, I was about to say, whoa, see it twice. Don't mind if I do.
Right. Make sure it's in 4K this time.
Yeah, seriously. So, and now that night you saw Lou Ferrigno, right?
I did.
Okay, tell them about that. That's a good transition into day 2.
He pretty much was at his table. At that point, there really wasn't anybody at the table.
Define really wasn't anybody.
Nobody.
Nobody, or like maybe 2 people.
No. There was nobody.
Not making fun of him, but this is Lou Ferrigno, folks. Lou Ferrigno, who played the Incredible Hulk in the 1970s live action series with the late Bill Bixby.
Right.
That Incredible Hulk. The bodybuilder Lou Ferrigno.
He pretty much was talking to each table brings a personal person from their staff that does the signings with them.
Can you say that one more time?
So each celebrity,
okay,
let's just say
so in this case, Lou Ferrigno,
right? Lou Ferrigno had a person that he had brought along with him to help him with the autograph signings.
Okay, so basically you're talking to this person of his.
Right. What's your name?
I guess this.
How do you?
Right, and this person is collecting the money.
Yep.
Okay.
So what's your name? You know, hand me the ticket or hand me cash.
Right.
You know, whichever you want to do.
Right.
You know, and you know, maybe if you get somebody who's really nice, they start telling you stories. Matter of fact, actually, when I was at the table for Ralph Macchio, the person that was with him actually knew Debbie Reynolds and her daughter, Carrie. Yes. And
Carrie Fisher. Yeah.
Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
And then also is really good friends with her brother, which is obviously Debbie Reynolds' son, and the only surviving family member from that trio. He said, you know, he's a real sweet guy, and Carrie was a sweetheart, which, you know, he said she was very troubled, but a real sweetheart. And he said that Debbie was amazing as well. And he said, you know, well, enough of my stories. I said, no, we're just here to, you know, to you know, encapsulate and just process everything and just be a sponge. And he's like, oh, okay. You know, that made him feel good. But he didn't really say much after that. But he said, you know, Todd was a real great guy. And obviously they had to get, you know, his permission for likeliness and all of that, you know, to go forward with both of them, essentially. And he, you know, that he was a really nice guy. But, you know, apparently Carrie was just a sweetheart, but just had her battling her own demons.
Right on up to the very end. It's quite sad. Now, good transition into day 2, because let's follow up on Lou Ferrigno. So we go into day 2. Now, you guys got to forgive me because this is where things were a little bit confusing. So Friday, I get a alert that says, hey, your Sting autograph signing is happening today. And I'm going, what the hell does this mean? I thought Sting was only showing up for one day and one day only, and that's Saturday. So I tweeted at Awesomecon on 2 occasions, not in the same day. I tweeted them a couple of months ago, and then I tweeted them Friday when I got the alert. I'm saying, hey, is this right? Sting's doing autographs today? I thought he was only showing up for Saturday, and he was only doing photo ops and autograph signings, the Q&A and all that. Everything was just going to be crammed into Saturday. I didn't get a reply back, so I'm like, what's going on? So download their app, people. Any updates, anything that's going to happen, that app is a lifesaver. You can pretty much download the app. Doesn't take that much space. There's no excuse. Get it for your tablet, get it for your Android, get it for your iOS device. There's no excuses. It's free. You easily download it. Plan out your schedule. You can set reminders 5 minutes before your event, 30 minutes. I like doing 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Right. Okay. Time to start walking. We got it. By the time we walk, all right, it's pretty much going to be time. Right. We'll be there early. But it's still, you know, it's better to be early than late, I always say. Right? So I'm like, what the hell is going on here? This doesn't make any sense. And then finally, my question gets answered because Sting himself, I'm paying attention to his Twitter feed like all weekend. And so going into Friday night, like right before one of the basketball games came on, Sting puts out a tweet and he says, look forward to seeing you all at Awesomecon this Saturday.
Okay.
I'm going, okay, all right, that settles my question. So now it's a matter of, okay, so what time does the autograph signing begin? Because the first thing I had to do was, this is where it was really confusing because we knew that Sting was going to have a photo op at 3:20. Now, the information that was given to us was, well, whenever Sting isn't doing photo ops, that's when you can get his autograph. Okay, well, that's great, but here's my question. Not that we need to know Sting's schedule, but what time will he begin autograph signings? And for some reason, Awesomecon does not give at least that information. That's where it's kind of murky. And I think that really needs to be clarified. Trust me, from a security standpoint, I worked security for almost 20 years. I get it from a security standpoint as far as, no, we ain't telling you when this person is going to arrive. I'm down with that. That's fine. But at least give the person that signed up and is paying the money for the autograph signings, at least tell them, hey, look, we expect that, you know, if you were to show up at noon, 8 out of 10, you know, you're waiting around, you'll probably be able to see said celebrity, and at that point maybe they'll, right? So I think it's kind of weird how they kind of had that left in the air, because if you think about it, and a lot of people that went to last year's Awesomecon will agree with me, the same thing also went down last year. And the Batista one really stood out in my mind because it was literally the same answer we got. Hey, what time is Batista's autograph signings? Oh, whenever he's not doing the photo ops, you can just pretty much. And it was kind of like, well, that makes no sense. How are we supposed to figure this one out? Like, you know? So we go in the Saturday, and I say to the missus, you know what? Let's just head on over there, I don't know, 12:30 or whatever. And, you know, Sting should be there or something, right? So, you know, we're pussyfooting around or whatever. Finally, we hit one over there. I think at this point, it's about
close to one.
Yeah, close to one or something like that. You know, and I say to her, "Oh my God, there he is. He's there." And it's like, shit. There's no telling how long he's been here. So by the time we hit over there, we're waiting in line and everything is just time is going by really super fast. It's going by really fast. So now we're in panic mode because we've got one of the staff members telling us he's only going to do this for about 15 more minutes and then that's it. You can wait here, or if you signed up for the photo ops, go on the line for the photo ops, but he'll be wrapping up soon. We're looking at the time, and at the time that this announcement is made, it's now 2:30, so we're going, shit. So basically, we got until 2:45. Okay, great. So we're continuing to stand there, and then another staff member, I don't know if it was another staff member or maybe it was Sting's bodyguard, but the guy says to us, like, after a couple of minutes, y'all ain't got nothing to worry about. Every single one of y'all is going to get taken care of. Don't worry about it. Everybody's going to get the hookup. And we're like, really? Like, yeah, don't worry about it. Y'all are good. Don't worry about it. So, you know, we, now this was interesting. And this kind of answered the guy's question. Had he waited in line, he would have gotten his answer, but I guess he had to go get cash or whatever.
And the ATMs were down. Can you imagine? Yeah, the
ATMs were down, right? That sucks. They need more ATM machines, because I got to tell you something. It seems like each year, the ATM machines are more scarce and scarce. I swear to God.
No, I saw one as we were walking over there, which is around the same spot that it was before. But I'll never forget the very first year we went and I needed to get cash. The line was so long at the ATM that you called me 3 times to find out where I was.
That's true. That's very true. Yep, I remember that.
Still in line.
I remember that. Yeah, that they need more ATMs. They got to. They're, you know, it's constructive feedback, folks.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
absolutely.
It's you know, it's not putting down in any type of way. It's just ways that the experience for everybody can be, right? Or, you know, even have it be a situation where surely the way our technology has advanced all these years later, I would like to believe that now we can just walk up to people, hey, do you need change? Okay, well, you only have a credit card, right? Okay, well, how much cash would you like? Okay, well, you know, for a processing fee of, you know, $195, you know, you can swipe this and I'll give you the money. And, you know, I would like to believe that, you know, we're kind of at that process now where, like the good old days, we had dollar bills. We wanted to play the arcade machines. We walked up to a machine, or there was a person that was walking around. Anybody need change? You know, that anything that would keep you on the machine. So if you can't get to an ATM machine, basically what I'm saying is something equivalent to those guys that were walking around with the margarita trays.
Right. Well, that too. That, number one. But really, I think if you're going to charge what you're going to charge for the, you know, photo ops or, you know, combination with selfies or, you know, whatever they want as far as their selection. There are so many options for charging a credit card. There is the little square. I mean, there were some actual booths that had iPad, sign.
Yeah,
phone,
babe.
Sign.
Babe, but nothing beats that cash money.
No, I guess not.
For a lot of those people, it's like, I ain't got time to be waiting a day or two for something to process when I can have the cash money in my hand. Right? Because some celebrities are like that. It's like, nope, they want cash. Some of them just want cash only, right? So, but you just something to think about. But I do think they need to work on somehow getting more ATMs in
I
there.
agree with that.
You know, have more partnerships with various banks and let it be a situation where through that partnership they can put even more ATM machines there.
Well, the thing is, which we found out, you know, in the first year,
Yeah.
which was basically your electricity is very limited,
Yes.
which obviously will affect things of that nature. And I think that's part of the issue that they have now. But you also could, you know, put a few more ATMs in there. Obviously, you know, even if you just basically put it by not the vendors, put it by the food areas to where, you know, they have electricity. So put it in every, you know, I don't know, half.
Ooh, I like your idea, but let me add on to that. You know what would also be badass, and shout out to those of you in Awesomecon management. You know what would also be cool is like, and they got the space to do this. Okay, you can put not one but two ATM machines over by the customer service area where you can go buy photo ops and autograph signings. You could put one right over by them, and then you could put one pretty much way across on the other side. Basically make it be a horizontal, right? Pretty much do it in a way where you see one machine, and if it looks like somebody is at it, or maybe it's out of service, you can just look to your right and you can see the other one, and you can just walk over there. Now, when you go to the tables with the autograph signings, I think it would be awesome if they somehow had a ATM machine just by itself, kind of like, you remember how I don't want to say it's like in a line of its own, but have the ATM machine basically set up where it's like 30 feet away from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables where you're going to get your photo, your selfie, or your autograph signing, right? If you could have it almost kind of be like a trifecta, basically, or put like 5 in a circle surrounding all of those tables, I think that would help tremendously. That way, you know, hey, can you hold my spot? I gotta go get some money from the ATM machine. And you could pretty much be rather than go from you know, Cleveland Park to freaking
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Southeast DC, right?
Right. Kind of like, well, here's one, and then the other one's not until the, you know, at the other end of the building, essentially.
Right.
But what people do need to know is, when you are bringing something extra for them to sign, say, you know, oh, I'm going to do an autograph signing, but I really want him or them or whoever to sign this particular item.
Example.
Okay.
Our example.
So basically, say you have a belt that you want a certain wrestler to sign, and you also want them to sign an actual photo, you know, for that same wrestler to sign. So essentially, yes, you have purchased a signing for one thing. If you want something extra, it is another signing for another thing, and so on and so forth. And so you either purchase more signings or you pay cash at the table.
Right.
And that's how it works.
Right.
For the signings for the last couple of years. Actually, for all 3 years that we've done it.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because now that I think about it, they did the same thing with Batista. Because it was a case where...
Except he actually just... He didn't sign that one. You just actually were able to just purchase the poster.
Right. Right.
But yes, essentially they've done...
Yes, it's coming back to me now. Yeah, because he had Batista last year, he had basic photographs that was part of what I paid for. But there was one photo I was looking at that I said, wow, I want to get him to sign that. And they basically had told me, oh, no, sorry, but for what you paid, you basically get the standard photos. And it was like, huh, really? Like, yeah, it was like, if you want this, you're gonna have to
$20.
Right, it was an extra $20. And it was, oh, okay, well, let me go ahead, let me get that. In the case of Sting, I had the big gold belt, the WWE World Heavyweight gold belt, and they basically told me, well, your receipt, it only gets you one autograph. So, you know, if you want Sting to sign your title, you're not going to be able to get a picture. Okay, well, what if I want a picture? Well, then he'll sign the picture. You won't get the belt signed. Well, can't I have both? If you're willing to pay for both, yeah, you already paid for the title. Obviously, you want that signed, right? Like, yeah. Okay, well, if you still want his autograph, you're going to have to pony up X amount of money for the photo. I said, okay, all right, cool, no problem. So that's exactly what we ended up doing. Met Sting, and he was a sweetheart, very humble, very nice guy, soft-spoken. It's the other thing that jumped out at me. Very, very soft-spoken. I was a little bit nervous, but you wouldn't know it. It's very rare I get nervous. I've interviewed so many people over the years. It's easy to me. But I got nervous because here is somebody that I've had a lot of love, admiration for, but most importantly, respect for all of the significant contributions that they've made to the industry. And here I am meeting one of my idols, and you know, they usually hit you with never meet your idols because you'll always be disappointed. But here was a case right here where that was not the case. Much like with Dave Bautista, it was an awesome experience, but this one for me was even more surreal. And he shook my hand, and you know, I told him, I said, you know, sir, it's a great honor to meet you. I've been a big fan of yours for many years now. You know, great honor seeing you here. And he said, what's your name? I said, my name is Lee. And he goes, really? I said, yeah. L-E-E? I said, yeah. And he goes, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but that's my middle name. So I was like, wow, really? I was like, small world. And somehow I brought up the fact that Tammy was a fan of his as well. I
basically was telling him, you know, I said, when we got together, I wasn't a real big wrestling fan. And he kept, you know, Lee kept saying, hey, please watch this with me. And at that point, Sting was on TNA. And, you know, please watch, you know, WWE and this, you know, the Sting character, and just, you know, watch it. And I'm like, okay.
Well, WWE and TNA.
Right.
Yeah, I was saying watch WWE and TNA. Right. And yeah, you were definitely you liked his stuff in TNA.
And to be honest with you, he's probably one of the first wrestlers I really took to.
Yeah.
Of just really liking the character, really liking, you know, what he did, you know, within the ring, his, you know, mic skills, and, you know, just taking to him. So, you know, basically mentioning that I really, you know, liked his stuff after, you know, Lee basically begged me to watch it. And, you know, really became a fan. And he's like, oh, wow. He said, you know, I'm responsible for babies being born, couples getting together, you know, kind of thing. And we just kind of ran with it.
Yeah. So that part that you hear, a little trivia for you guys. So the part that you hear where Sting brings that up about, you know, he's brought couples together and all that. Now, his memory was a little bit fuzzy, and it's understandable because he's interacted with so many people. But to defend him a bit, he may have legitimately spoke to a couple that did get married because of him. But I'm 90% certain that the couple that he remembered was actually us, because
because he's like, yeah, there they are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, yeah, he did confirm it was us. Yeah. Because I think I don't know if it was me or you, but I know one of us had said, we're getting married or something like that.
Oh, that's how he was able to.
Maybe that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just kind of gelled the two together.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing experience meeting him.
It was. Anybody that has not met Sting before,
Out of your way.
Yeah, even if it's a situation where, you know what, I've always wanted to meet some of my idols in pro wrestling, but you know, what if they're a dick? And then, you know, then I'm tainted forever. My childhood memories are a little bit kind of, right? I would understand where a person is coming from that says that. But if you ever been on the fence and you're trying to figure out where you could possibly start as far as who is meeting, Sting, put him on your list. That's the first guy. If you love Sting, put him on your list, meet him first, and then go from there. Absolutely. Such a sweetheart.
Very much so.
Absolute professional, very humbled.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could have just picked his brain if it wasn't for, because I know everybody else was like, come on, man, photo op, you know, because I know we all were kind of like, we got a dart on over here now, right? So I wasn't trying to take away from them, but, you know, if I could just have 5 more minutes, that would have been heaven. But it was awesome. It was just, I felt like that little kid / teenager that was growing up watching him during the Monday Night War and all that. I remember Surfer Sting and all that too. So to just go back for a hot minute, I had loved that. But a real good stand-up dude, really, you know. And I know we're gonna have some knuckleheads. They're gonna be like, but you know, that was only a brief moment in time. It wasn't like you spent the whole year getting to know this person. Look, you can put 2 and 2 together, and it's real easy for you to tell who's putting on the front and who is legitimately sincere.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
You can decipher between the two, the 3. The third one being who is just putting on the front, so you know they can just stay face and get that money. Right. You know who's just doing it for business, but you know they're trying to not let it be so obvious. You can tell between those 3 analogies, those 3 examples. You know what you're dealing with, and what we were dealing with
was very genuine.
Yes.
Very genuine. You know, just really, you know, nice to be here. Great to meet you. You know, just that wholesome experience to what most fans want when they meet their idols.
Yes. And so it was great having him sign the title. He didn't even, maybe I was, but like, and to meet him, I mean, I'm looking at him and I'm going, okay, he's not that tall as I pictured him in my mind. He's not a shorty. He's not a shorty, but if anybody's the shorty, I'm the shorty. You all see the picture with me and him. So if anybody's the shorty, it's me. But for some reason in my head, I was picturing him standing like 6'7".
Right. Well, the funny thing is, I think we both had that moment of, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this particular movie, but Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze and Sam Elliott. Of course, it's like a, you know, early 90s movie. And there's a line in that movie where it says, where Sam Elliott said, you know, I thought he would be bigger. And the funny thing is, I think I felt that with Ralph Macchio to an extent, but he was about the size that I assumed he would be. But in how you felt with Sting.
Because I'm looking at him, I'm looking at his neck, I'm looking at his head, I'm looking at his shoulders. He's built. I mean, the coat is just, you know, you can usually, padding. No. Straight up. No, he's built. He is held up very good over the years. He's still wide and everything. He might not have the surfer Sting body anymore, but he is still in great shape, even with the coat on. And I'm looking at him, but I was just picturing him to be a bit taller. I'm not saying he's short by any means. I'm the shorty, but I was picturing him like, I was thinking like 6'7", and he looked as though he was probably 6'5".
Yeah, 6'2", 6'5".
Ooh, 6'2". Damn, you really jipping him.
Well, maybe 6'5".
Let's say you said 6'2", I said 6. I thought he was gonna be 6'7". Let's say 6. Let's say
he's probably a 6'5".
He's probably 6'5". Or just close to a 6'5". Yeah, give or take, or just close to a 6'5". So then we, you know, got the title. He didn't even did I even tell him where to sign, or he just?
No, he just kind of looked like, well, it was kind of a, sort of gestured. Is there a particular way you want me to sign?
Was he gesturing?
Sort of, but then when nobody said anything, it was just like, okay, I'll just sign here.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Because it was cool how he did it, because it was kind of like, let's see what you got here. And so he laid the title out, he spreaded it out, and then he just looked at it. Okay. And then it was kind of like, well, since there's an autograph right here,
I'll just do this.
he pulled out a Sharpie and he signed that bad boy. So we got CM Punk and we've got Sting on there now. Fantastic. So now we race over to the photo op area. And every goddamn 3 minutes, if you guys are here for and I'm going, Sting!
No.
Star Trek, The Next Gen. I'm going, fuck. And like every time I turn around, Star Trek, and it's like Star Trek is like, I'm telling you, probably what was the biggest cash grabbers of the whole weekend was Star Trek The Next Generation at number 2, and at number 1 was Riverdale. Sadly, by the time I heard about Riverdale, it was when Luke Perry died. I wasn't even aware that Luke Perry was on Riverdale, and I'm a big fan of Luke Perry. Well, what was it on, CW or something like that, or the WB? I sadly, I don't watch those. The last time I watched those, Smallville. She knows, because I was mad at that damn series finale. I ain't gonna spoil it for anybody, but I was mad. I said, never again. I'm not watching a CW show, and knock on wood, I've kept my damn word. That's right? True. So, if I'd have known, I'd have been watching it a lot sooner. Because we talked about it. We were saying, maybe we should cover Riverdale, but then it was kind of like, man, we're going to be so out of our element. We're not going to really know what the hell they're going to be talking about. And we would be at such a disadvantage. Because I was very curious to know, with the 2 young stars of the show, I was curious because you knew the question was going to be asked, what's the plan for addressing his character, Luke Perry's character? How are they going to explain his exit from the show, or are they going to recast it? What's going on? And I would like to believe by now the 2 young guys of that show had some type of info that they could pass along to the fans, maybe make it be an exclusive Awesomecon news tidbit or whatever, right? But so we sadly didn't do that. But yes, it was Riverdale. Oh my God, Riverdale. I mean, lots of girls. Lots of girls, lots of women. I'm talking women from, I'm talking like 13 to women in their 40s was just racing. I mean, racing. Many times you had the guy in the PA system. By the way, they need to bring back the cute brunette woman. With that
voice that carries.
With the voice that, I mean, she's got, you guys that have been to Awesomecon enough, you know exactly the girl I'm talking about. She's got a loud, booming voice. She has, last year she had long hair. It came down to her shoulders, maybe a little bit past that. The year before, it was short hair, but she always has her glasses on, and
almost to the point where she doesn't need a microphone.
Right. She just has it just to be having it, but her voice is booming. That dark hair, like dark brown, maybe almost black, glasses, booming voice. The guy that they had, you had to be pretty close up front near him. Yeah, because his mic sucked.
Yeah, that too.
His mic sucked. I wanted to walk up to him so bad and say, dude, people can hardly hear you. Can I check out your levels real quick? Maybe I can
help you out.
Yeah, I really did, because it was a struggle to hear him. But we went to the photo op. Sting's photo op actually had a little bit of a hiccup. There was some type of a malfunction.
And they had to do a booth change.
They had to do a booth change because the line, it was moving rather well, but then we probably had about, felt like a 15-minute delay at most. It felt like a 15-minute delay, and then they had all of us just from where we were standing. We did like this, like an N. Yeah, we went like an N to the new booth.
And then after a while, first 10 seconds is kind of like, where are we going?
Right.
And then after that, then you heard the guy say, we had a booth change.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but as far as, knowing where you're going, and having, you know, that information and so on and so forth. They did a really good job with that.
They really did. Yeah, the customer service was definitely on point, keeping everybody abreast of what's going on. Yeah, being informed. Yeah, they did a really, really good job. Is that how you say it? Is it a breast or a breath?
I think it's a breast.
A breast? A breast, a thigh, a wing.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody for Popeyes?
You know, so meet him once again. You know, I say, hey, sir. You know, hey, now one more time, and you know, you saw the end result of the photo op. You know, I've taken a few photo ops over the years, but that one, legit, the smile on my face says it all. And like I said on the social media posting, you know, as long as I've been podcasting and everything, you know, if you ask me, Lee, what's your number one favorite highlight of just podcasting, period? Honestly, is being able to, once in a blue moon, be in a position where I can meet my idols. Sting being one of those. That's it in a nutshell. You know, it makes it that much more bittersweet. And, you know, as usual, you get people that, you know, you haven't heard from them in months, years, or whatever. All of a sudden, you're getting messages from them because they want what you got, and you know, they're trying to, you know, rather than, hey man, that's a really cool moment for you, so happy for you. Now it's I can't stand fake people, man. I can't stand fake people. I really can't. Only reason I'm bringing that up because I've had a few people now that try to, you know, oh, I got a question to ask you, could you? And it's kind of like all the other 364 days out of the year, you could have asked me, and now all of a sudden, I know what time it is. No, thank you. You know, I'm getting a little bit too old for that. You know, you could try that fiddle with the next person, right? But from there, the photo op,
we basically race on to the Q&A.
You're right. So, I mean, this is a zigzag, folks. It's like boom, 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 boom.
Right.
But we hit everything on time with time to kill, right?
And having, you know, with the Q&A, we had great seats.
Fantastic seats.
We were
sadly, the pictures...
Three rows back.
Yeah, sadly, the pictures that we took, it didn't really do it justice. But to Tammy's point, we were 3 rows. Like the podium, we could see the podium and everything. And like it was basically 1 chair, 2 chairs, 3rd row of chairs. That's where we were. We were in the 3rd row. So sadly, I guess Sting had requested no video recording. But you know, we're members of the press, and we had talked to you know, somebody that was part of the staff for Awesomecon, and we had said, hey, look, you know, we're here to cover. Of all things, we're definitely, you know, supposed to be covering this as part of the press. You know, listeners want to know what's going on, and they're like, okay, yeah, no problem. You can record the audio. That's no problem. Go ahead. So it was a great Q&A. If you guys did not get an opportunity to listen to the Q&A, definitely check it out after this. That was really fun. Made me had even more appreciation for him. And he's got some really good comedic timing. I didn't really...
He does.
Yeah. You know, even when he was Joker Sting and all that, it really... The Q&A really helped heighten for me. Hey, he's actually funny. You know, so he was good.
He actually is.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really realize that, you know, from just that couple of minutes that you see him.
Yeah.
But the jokes are funny, even with the short answers.
Yes.
They were funny because of the answers.
The delivery.
The delivery was just, and it just made it funny.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot more people were in costumes that day.
Oh yeah, and there was a lot more people there. Yeah. It still wasn't ridiculous, like, oh my gosh, wall to wall people kind of thing, but it was definitely, you know, at least a third to half more.
Yes.
You know,
a lot more people on the main floor of Artist Alley. Definitely a lot more people. That was pretty wow. You know, it was jam packed. I would say it was pretty jam packed down there on that floor. And after we got done with that, we went to go have some dinner. We ate right around the corner. We ate at Sabaro's Pizzeria. That was good. You had what was it, just a sausage pizza? I had a buffalo chicken with ranch pizza. You also had a strawberry cheesecake. The Sbarro was pretty good. It doesn't really break the bank,
but it was good.
Yes, you know, I watched them put the pizzas in the oven. And apparently
they must have took out somebody else's.
I guess they left them in for 15 seconds. I don't know what.
But no, seriously, for what it was, the pizza was good.
Yeah,
it was really, really good. It tasted really, tasty. It was a little cold.
Yeah,
but it was good. And the cheesecake. You have some cheesecakes where you have too much of this and not enough of that,
right,
or vice versa.
Yeah.
Well, this one was perfect, and the weather was good, and we ate, and that was a really nice little outing there, and pretty much at that point went back to the hotel. And
chilled for the rest of the night. Got my drink on. I had
which is the other IPA.
The other
that he was talking
IPA.
about.
What was the name of that IPA again? Because that was some good IPA. Goose Island. I love me some Goose Island. I got a couple of souvenirs in the fridge of that one. So definitely we'll be enjoying that in the near future.
And definitely.
Oh, the homeless story.
When you go out at 9 o'clock at night and you're going to get beer, have them put it in a bag, especially if you're in DC.
Yes, especially around the convention center.
Because you will have all kinds of strange people come and be your best friend.
It was like shit on flies, or a fly on shit, basically. Like, so, we go to the Giant. Like, if you know where the Washington Convention Center is, you know how, like, pretend you're making your way over to the Cambria Hotel. You know how you got the Giant food store that's right around there. Okay, so we go there, and we've known about that for a couple of years now. So it's like, okay, let's go there. We know we can get beer for a good price over there. So I find the Goose Island for like $10, 6-pack of bottles. I'm like, okay, cool. So I don't take no plastic bag, no paper bag. I'm just carrying it, right? And so we're not even walking 4 minutes, and this homeless guy, hey y'all, how y'all doing over there? How y'all doing? Man, Lord bless y'all, man. Bless you kind people, man. How y'all doing? Sundays, we worship the Lord over at the church. Over at the insert name here, the church. It's Sunday. It's Sunday, man. You go to the church. Okay, that's good. All right. Yeah, I just go to that church. We say prayers and thoughts and all of that. And I'm saying to myself, Lord, this motherfucker sees the beer and he wants to hook up. Okay, I gotta figure out real quick. This is like within milliseconds. I'm trying to figure out how am I gonna shake this motherfucker off. And so he keeps talking about the church and everything. How y'all doing tonight? How you good people doing tonight? You won't come and worship and go to church tomorrow morning? And I told him, I said, well, brother, I'm gonna be going to church tomorrow myself because I gotta go to my brother's funeral. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I really am. My condolences to both of y'all. I'm so sorry to hear that. I was gonna ask y'all for some change. I really was, but I respect. I'm not going to. I'm not going to ask you for change. I could ask you for change. I should, but I'm not going to. I'm not going. God bless y'all. And it was like, yeah, whatever, dude. Drunk motherfucker. So we make this left turn from that point that we were talking to the homeless dude, the first homeless dude. We don't even make it 2 minutes after we make our left turn to try to go back up towards the convention center and shit. And there's this other homeless guy. And I say to Tammy, I say, man, of all the nights, and I just have to be out here with this shit in my hand, and it ain't in a plastic bag, it ain't in no goddamn paper bag. I was like, I picked the wrong time for this shit. So
then we had, right before we got back to where we were gonna be, another lady who was like, you remember the lady? The lady. I don't remember the lady. Yeah, basically there was a lady that said, hey, y'all good people. And we kind of just continued to walk, and she just...
Oh, wow, yeah, it was three. There was three of them. Holy shit, I forgot about the third one. That's right, it was 3 homeless people. Yeah, 3 homeless people. My God, that was crazy. Hide the booze. That's all I gotta say. Hide the booze next time. That was ridiculous, man. So you went to bed kind of early because I was
he's the night owl.
I'm the night owl. I'm still wired and everything, and that's just me. Whenever I'm in a new surrounding, sometimes I need a little bit of alcohol to loosen up a little bit. Yeah, and even though I had a really good first night of good Z's, I still felt very wired. And if I don't take my melatonin, that's the end result. So sadly, I remembered packing everything else but the damn melatonin. So I probably would have been okay with just melatonin, but it was kind of good that I had a little bit of alcohol. So I was up watching headline news. I was watching basketball. I was watching headline news because they showed a marathon of Forensic Files. Of course, I was also watching BET because I don't mind weekends. Marathon of Martin is on. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And so Sunday, you know, we weren't there at Awesomecon that long. We probably were there because the festivities were over at 4. So we strolled on over there probably about 12:30. We were there for like about almost an hour. It was relatively quiet, still pretty busy, you know, on the artist alley section and everything. And, you know, we just said, okay, you know what? You know, we got what we need. We got enough that we can give an overall review, and we got enough footage, and we can go on ahead and we can pretty much wrap it up. D-O-N-E. Let's go ahead. Let's get out of here. And so we wrapped up, head on back home, had a nice lunch to basically put a bookend on Awesomecon weekend, ate at Checkers. That Checkers was good. That's double chicken spicy sandwich, whatever the hell that was. That was too much for me. I didn't even finish it all. That's how good that damn thing was. That thing was hearty. And little FYI, for those of you that like the cheese from Checkers on your fries, but you don't want the chili, you know how they have the chili cheese fries? If you don't want the chili, you can tell them, just give me cheese fries. No chili. Please hold the chili. Just give me the cheese on the fries. And they'll do that for you, no problem. So, little FYI. And that didn't cost extra, did it? No, okay. I figured that much. So, you know, it was a great weekend. I felt really bad for Lou Ferrigno because you said what you said on Friday. I observed Lou Ferrigno on Saturday, and he had nobody in his line. And I was telling Tammy, I said, look, I have a golden rule. If I'm in your line, or if I see your line at 2 different times, one pretty much late afternoon, evening, and the next go around pretty much right when the freaking joint opens, and you ain't got nobody in your line, that ain't good. And so me and Tammy started brainstorming, and I said, I don't get it. Like, this is a pop icon figure, you know, for what he had contributed to the comic book world with the Incredible Hulk and what he's done for bodybuilding. You would think there would have been more of a turnout for him, but there wasn't. And you brought up some very valid points. Touch upon those as far as why probably no one was in his line.
Well, first of all, with Lou Ferrigno being at Awesomecon, now grant you, yes, there are, you know, some comic book things there, sure.
Right.
But when you have somebody who is from the mid to late 70s as a basically a TV show character, not as many people are going to be there, because the ones who will remember it are older.
Like us.
Like us and
Our parents.
And our parents.
Yeah.
You know, and we didn't see a whole lot of that there.
Yeah. At least not for Lou.
Right. Oh, no, not for Lou.
Yeah.
I mean, but I didn't even in general see a lot of older people. Like, I saw, you know, early 40s. You know, maybe mid 40s.
Yeah, I saw a couple of 50s and 60s, but when I did see the 50s and the 60s, kids weren't that far behind from them. And if I did see 50s and 60-year-old pluses, 7 out of 10 they had a table.
Right. And the thing is basically on some of that, it wasn't as widespreadly popular with the people that were there because most of them either don't remember it or weren't really shown it. You know, for people like us, we remember more of the Hulk from, what's his name?
Oh, with Bill Bixby?
No, the newer one. The newer version.
Well, we had two of them. We had the Ang Lee directed one, which had starred Eric Bana, and then the next Hulk guy was Edward Norton, and then the newest Hulk guy is Mark Ruffalo. Right.
Now, yes.
Careful.
Now the one that I was referring to, maybe it was Bana, the one that was like early mid 80s.
Oh, wait a minute.
There's somebody.
No, Bill Bixby.
Oh, okay.
There was a
facial recognition.
There was a Hulk TV series in the 70s that starred the late Bill Bixby, and then afterwards you had a couple of Incredible Hulk one-off movies that kind of went into the 80s. Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, they teamed up once again, but there was a lot more plans for them to do more made-for-TV movies. There was even talk about possibly doing a TV reboot, follow-up to the original series, and them coming back, because when it hit syndication it was really popular, but whatever plans were in motion once Bill Bixby passed, that was it.
Right.
You had him voice, Lou Ferrigno that is, he voiced the Incredible Hulk in a animated series from the 90s that was part of the UPN weekend lineup. I remember Hulk, the first couple of seasons it was on Saturday, and then they moved it to Sunday mornings. And then he had a brief cameo in the Incredible Hulk movie directed by Ang Lee, starring Eric Bana. He played a security guard that was not, I think it was him, or maybe it was Edward Norton, I can't really remember for sure, but I remember he was a security guard. He wanted a slice of pizza or something like that. Then you had the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton, and then you got the new Hulk, Mark Ruffalo. Lou Ferrigno did a spot for the Marvel Puzzle Quest game a couple of years back. That was nice. See, hardcore fans like me would remember all this shit, but like,
if it was a passing, watched it once kind of thing, it's not gonna really be in the minds of something of today's kids and so on and so forth. So if you had people on the line, it would have been 40s and 50s and up.
Very true. You would just think from the contributions that he's made for bodybuilding alone, because he's equivalent to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Hell, him and Schwarzenegger are best friends. So you would just think for the contributions he's made in the sport of bodybuilding that people would be there as well. That was very disappointing, because I'm going, wait a minute, we got Val Kilmer and Weird Al Yankovic, and no disrespect to them, but it's kind of like, how
do they fit in?
How do they fit in? Now, Val Kilmer was easily explained. Val Kilmer, when you think cinematic pop culture, Val Kilmer was that icon. Portraying Jim Morrison in the Doors movie directed by Oliver Stone. being
edition of Wyatt Earp.
Right, being Tombstone,
Tombstone,
being
Top Gun,
Maverick, the Saint. I don't care what anybody says. Val Kilmer in The Saint. I love that movie. Him putting on all of those different makeups, doing those different impersonations and all that. He did phenomenal in The Saint. Being Batman in Batman Forever, he did, even though it was a one-off. I thought he did very well, which explained
him and the memorabilia that they had at the Batman exhibit.
We'll have that
really
footage.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll have that footage uploaded for you. I recorded about almost 20 minutes worth. I'm gonna try to go back and include some audio narration in there for you guys. That was phenomenal. So yeah, I mean, to a degree, you got the new Maverick sequel that's getting ready to happen. As a matter of fact, it's called Maverick. It's a sequel to Top Gun. So you got that dropping. So that pretty much explains him. Weird Al Yankovic, that one was just kind of a head scratcher for me. I know he's still relevant. I know he still busts out the hits and everything, but that one was still kind of like I was a little like but it had a little bit of something for everybody. True,
but what I did say also, just kind of briefly going back to Lou, was he would be better served at a Comic-Con.
He really would.
Much better served at a Comic-Con.
He really would. He really, really would. And he looked so small.
Yeah.
He did not look anywhere like the Lou I remember from maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Before anybody says, well, he's getting old. Well, you look at Vince McMahon, the WWE chairman, CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment, and at that age, he had the body of a 40-year-old. So I don't know what's going on with Lou, because Lou's always been in the... But let me tell you something. The Lou Ferrigno that we saw this weekend, he looked very haggard. He looked very tired, worn out. He looked unkempt around the face area. That was a weird white beard that he had coming in there. It looked very... it looked like he had slept for days, and he just decided, let me just throw on something and let me go on out and do this meet and greet. That was just... I really felt bad for him, because it was like, man, DC ain't representing, and showing love to Lou Ferrigno. That for me, that was the biggest travesty. Damn how he looked. Just the fact that his line wasn't filled up. And Awesomecon did their part. It was like, okay, well, you know what? Let's move Lou. Yeah. Because originally where Lou was, it was kind of like...
He could get lost in the shuffle.
Right, that's kind of...
Then they moved him right across from Sting.
Right, he was sitting right next to Sting.
And when we went through that line... It didn't change. But could it have changed later? Maybe.
You all let us know that maybe we're there for Lou Ferrigno. Let us know how the lines were. Maybe it changed when our eyes wasn't on it. But for it to be Friday, Saturday, no change. That was, to a degree, Sunday, no change. It was kind of like, Something else that was kind of eye-opening, and I'm glad you finally showed me a picture, Val Kilmer. Now, a lot of us heard about the surgery that Val Kilmer had got on his throat, because it was to remove cancer and everything, and we know he hasn't been really looking in the best of shape. And I was the first to point out to Tammy, I think it was Friday, because Val Kilmer was there. And it was cool, because when we went Friday, we basically went and we were like, okay, let's get an idea of the layout. That way, when it's time for us to do XYZ, boom, we know exactly where we need to go. So we just happened to see that Gates McFadden, she was there. She was doing a little bit of signing. Will Riker, Jonathan Frakes, he was there as well. As a matter of fact, I saw him cross over to Gates McFadden, talk to her for a little bit. Then he went on back to his table to do more signings, take selfies and all that. And so I see Val Kilmer, and I think Val Kilmer's booth was next to Weird Al Yankovic, I think. I'm not quite sure.
Close.
It was definitely close.
Yeah, it was definitely close.
And so I see Val Kilmer, and I'm like, what's going on here? And like, we see the lines. There's a line, and you're like, what's going on? Val Kilmer was not out in the open. So if you wanted to go get your autograph with Val Kilmer, you had to like wait in this line, and then you had to go through that line, and then there was like these black curtains. And I said to Tammy, I said, that's so weird because nobody else is doing it like that. And she said, well, it kind of looks like Weird Al Yankovic is doing that too. I said, well, if Weird Al was kind of doing it, you can't help but wonder if that's just the celebrity status in him that just wants to make sure nobody is taking freebies, right? But Val Kilmer is the one we should really home in on because what's going on with his health. And it's usually kind of rare that you see him out and about just, right? So you're kind of wondering what's going on here. And sure enough, you sent me a picture while I was at work on Monday, showing me how, you know, Val Kilmer had, look, because he, on top of doing the autograph signings, he did do photo ops as well, apparently. And he was really dressed up, had his neck covered up and all that, and God bless him. I mean, really, really, God bless him. I gotta be honest, because that's somebody I grew up on, big fan of his work. He does not look good. He looks like he is on borrowed time. You know, if he really is recovering, I
certainly hope so.
I hope so, because I can't tell.
Right.
I really can't tell. You know, so, and it makes me question even more just how much of a significant role is he gonna have in this Maverick sequel, because you know, he damn near begged Tom Cruise to get him in this.
Yeah.
So I can't help but wonder, okay, well, wish fulfilled, but what type of Iceman are we gonna get? Right. You know, so you know, I felt bad for him, but God bless him for having the strength to be able to come out, see his fans, embrace them, and all of that. I would imagine he really didn't say too much.
That would,
you know,
that would be my take on it. Now, I will tell you that with the photos that they had, just like at every other table, they actually had it at a separate table that was away from where the signing was.
Very good observation. You're right. You're talking about that part where I said to you,
"What's that?"
What's that? Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, well, they were basically photos of Val Kilmer as Wyatt Earp, you know, as himself, and you know, just different things of that nature." So it was interesting to have that table so
and you know
away
why?
from him.
And you know why?
Probably just limit to the time of talking and, you know, exposure. I mean, if you're
overall exposure.
Yeah. If you're going through, you know, that type of treatment, you want to be away from as much germs as possible.
Not just that, but if you physically are not looking anywhere to how you look, say, 4 or 5 years ago, and sadly, the TMZ people and all that, the Inquirer, whatever the fuck it's called, you got them people, they'll have their hidden cameras and all that, you know, and it's like, oh, that person ain't doing nothing, they're just looking at photos. Yeah, they might be looking at photos, but they got that camera, and it's getting everything.
Yeah,
it's getting everything. So that's why that table most likely was purposely far away, because keep in mind, folks, that was the only table that was far away from the celebrity. When we say far away, like anybody that has done autographs, you know, and you go to the table and you see the spread, and you're talking to the person that's handling the cash, telling you what's what, you pay them, then you go over to the celebrity. Yeah, to Tammy's point, this was like 50 feet away. I mean, it was, you know, it was almost kind of like, damn, what's this vendor doing right here? Like,
but it seemed out of place until you realized what it was.
Until you realized what it was, So, is there anything else? They had a really nice wall tribute to Stan Lee, somewhat similar to what they did for Adam West a couple of years back. That was pretty nice.
And it filled up really quickly.
It did. From when we saw it Friday going into Saturday. Yes, Lord. It filled up quick.
There was a few things on it, and then next day, boom.
Yeah.
It was full.
It was full. Ridiculously full. But overall, Awesomecon this year, it was good. You know, I would say it seemed like this go round they didn't try to make it be so star packed, because I know that was on the tip of the tongues for some people, that are the vendors that are part of Artist Alley and all that. A lot of them felt, from the individuals that we spoke with that wanted to remain anonymous, they were like, hey man, look, we've been coming here for a couple of years now, and that's great that people are able to come here and they have the money and they go do this photo op and they go do this autograph signing and all that. That's fun, that's great. But when it comes time for Artist Alley, they have no money. They're not supporting us in any type of means. For some of us, hell, we're fine with just the networking, just networking, outreaching, and we can't even get that because these people have already spent their money, and we can't even get the networking going, at least. So for a lot of them, they're the number one constructive criticism that they had about the Awesomecons was that it seemed like it was so heavy on star power. But I would have to say, in the years that we've covered it, how they did this Awesomecon, it was like, okay, well, it's not going to be so star-studded, and it seemed
like just enough.
Yeah, it was like just enough that out of 50%, it's probably going to be maybe 55 star power, but everything else is Artist Alley, right? Artist Alley and the whole costumes and kids and all that, and it was a nice balance. I would have to say this was the best balance that I've seen since we've been covering it up to this point.
And with Artist Alley, pretty much they actually kind of vamped, the where you have all of the festivities, and made Artist Alley a lot bigger, more room. They set it up in a way where it was much easier to navigate, much easier to see, much easier to do what you needed to do and actually highlight Artist Alley versus having it be an afterthought and pushing it, back in the corner somewhere.
The food show, is that what it's called? They really revamped the hell out of that too, because the last year that we were there, it was, I remember there was just a big old sea of tables over where the Adam West tribute wall was. There was a bunch of tables, there was a bunch of chairs, and you didn't, really see hardly any food options around that way. But this year they loaded it up with food options
and pretty much put the tables onto the other side, kind of out of the way. Which that part of the restructuring was very good.
Yes, it was very good, hands down, very good. Definitely a good learning process, and I like how they did it. I really do. The staff, the customer service, everything was on point. They did really good this year.
And
really good.
I will have to say that some of the costumes I saw were pretty interesting. We saw a couple that were just whoa, but we also had some ones who really put thought and process, kind of like that guy with the Punisher jacket that you said was pretty decent.
Yeah, he looked like he might have either made his Punisher vest or he spent a couple of $100 for his Punisher vest. But I mean, he had the whole setup. In the face, he kind of looked like Frank Castle a bit too from the comic books. Yeah, I mean, that really jumped out to me. Of course, the PHAT Elektra that was dancing. What was the song she was dancing to? It was
Michael.
Was it Michael?
I think so.
What was it? Don't Stop Till You Get Enough? What was it? No, I thought it was Hammer. I thought it was Hammer.
Oh, maybe it was. It was Hammer.
It was Hammer. Can't Touch This.
Oh, yeah.
And somehow she was dancing to that.
Yeah.
Some short little, I don't know if she was a Mexican girl or a white girl, but some short girl looked like she was about 4'8", thick as hell, dancing. She was dressed as Elektra. So you put two and two together, and no stockings, and she was dancing, twerking and everything, and I'm going, Elektra didn't do that in the comic books. Like, good God,
right.
To the transsexual dude that we saw that was dressed like Captain Marvel, or rather, it was an earlier incarnation. It was Miss Marvel. That was the name, Miss Marvel. That was. I literally said to Tabby, I went Booker T. I said, tell me I didn't just see that. And she said, you did. I said, yeah, I thought so. There were some crazy ass costumes this year. There were people. That's one thing I love about Awesomecon here in DC. Whatever your sexual orientation is, your religion, what have you, like, it don't matter. Come.
It is supported.
Yeah.
It is welcome. Yes. It is. Yeah. And
to quote a Nirvana song, come as you are.
Absolutely.
And Awesomecon is definitely that. Probably the only thing, and I think we all could be in agreement of, I've yet to see Trump.
I did see a shirt.
I saw a shirt, but I didn't see Trump. Maybe at next year's Awesomecon. I'm just saying, people, maybe what Awesomecon needs is for me to make an appearance.
To make it great again?
To make Awesomecon great again. Anything's possible. All you have to do is believe. Believe me. Believe me.
So folks, chime in on whether you want that to happen or you think you will actually probably get mugged.
I could do the orange wig and you're the makeup expert. Will make me look so nice and organically white. Oh yes. I will go clean shaven for that. Yes, I will.
Oh goodness.
It's true. It's damn true. I'll be walking around with a bowl of tacos with nacho cheese on them because the Mexicans, they make such great food.
Well, you spend at least $80 on that bowl of nachos.
God, yeah, them nachos. Real quick, just to end it on this note, I get hungry at one point because we're looking at all of the stuff at the food show, and I say, hey, nachos, that don't sound too bad. I see the price, and I think the price was like $12. I look at the nachos, and the nachos, it looked like...
Oh, I thought it was 20.
It might have been. I don't know, but it was a small thing of nachos. And the girl that had the nachos, she looked like she was walking with a purpose. I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking to myself, I know you're hungry, honey, but you got ripped off. Because, I mean, it just looked like... It looked like somebody opened up a 25-cent bag of nachos and just put it in a bowl. And just, for the cheese, they just went... And said, $15, please.
Yeah, I do remember you basically saying, no, for that amount of money.
You want cheese? There you go, there's your cheese. $15.
Ew, folks, ew. I know I don't want it now.
You don't want that. But no, all seriousness, great Awesomecon. Looking forward to next year. For those of you that went to Awesomecon, let us know what you had thought. And that's going to do it. We're going to stick a fork in it. We're going to call this edition DONE done. Recap. We got the Sting Q&A panel, audio only. That's available on the YouTube channel. Just search under the Awesomecon 2017 to present playlist. I'm also going to upload the Batman footage for you guys to check out, footage from Awesomecon. All the costumes, actual costumes from Gotham and from all of the Batman movies over the years. You guys will thoroughly enjoy that. And yeah, if you were at Awesomecon, let us know what you had thought about it this year, any fond memories, etc. Get at us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR show. She's the beautiful and the lovely Tammy Lee Sanders. We are both wishing you all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Programming note, the RCWR show will return on, what is it? It looks like Tuesday, May the 7th. We'll be on at 10 p.m. Eastern as soon as SmackDown goes off the air, assuming we aren't going to be challenged by any NBA action. If we are challenged by NBA action, follow us throughout social media and we'll let you guys know how the schedule is going to be looking for that week, because usually I try to do it on a day where there's either no NBA playoffs or we come on much earlier before the playoffs come on. All right. So again, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, use the keywords the RCWR show. And hey man, if you want more episodes of Wrestling with the Topics like what you had experienced tonight, definitely sound off on social media and let us know. It would help us figure out, as far as the programming for that respective month, what we should try and put out there for you all. And of course, support us on patreon.com/RCWR show. I can't believe I almost forgot. We got to shout out our Patreon members, because without their kind contributions, content like what you're checking out right now would not have been made possible. We appreciate their kind contributions, and also the help that we get sometimes in teaming up, working with sponsors. Shout out to our Patreon members and Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup, Sean Kenter, Joe Raymond Jr., John Davis, and Michael Wolf. Learn more, patreon.com/RCWR show. That is going to do it. Until next go round, we're wishing all y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. Adios.
Bye-bye.